Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
How we doing? It is Friday. Is that right? Today is Friday, right?
Yep, you nailed it.
What happened to the week?
It flew by.
Where did it go?
Well, not only is it Friday, it's Friday the 13th again for 2 straight months because February is weird. So it's an unlucky day again.
Isn't every day unlucky for me?
I don't think so. Some days you have good days.
I mean,
some days you have good days.
I don't know. Badgers and Illinois playing right now. 13-10, Illinois up in that one. We'll keep you updated throughout the game. Down with Woczulis from College Sports Weekly. Keeps you updated with pictures and videos and all that fun stuff on X at WI Sports Radio. He'll join us immediately following that game from down at the United Center. So keep it here for that. Also coming up on today's show, we're going to talk with our guy, Austin Herdina. Follow the money at the Potawatomi Sportsbook as we have conference tournaments going on everywhere. We'll talk with him at 4:40, like we always do. Plus 4:20, plead the fifth. Brought to you by Habish from Rotaire. Who do you want to say shh to? All you got to do is text in your nominee, sooner the better, because then Charlie can go find the sound of whoever said something stupid in your mind. So we have that to play. 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250 throughout the show. We'll take nominees and then we'll put them all together. Otherwise, Charlie always has a batch of dumb things people say during the week. That'll get me going. So we can do that coming up at 4:20. Also, the first time on this show, I believe, we've been doing this show, Charlie and I, now since April of 24? Is that right?
Yeah. It's been that long.
April
Feels
of 24,
like a lot
right?
longer than that.
Yeah. So it'll be coming up on 2 years already for Charlie and I doing the show together. I'm not sure I should take that as a compliment or not. What does that mean exactly? It feels longer than that. What does that mean?
It just feels like I've gotten a lot of experience in 2 years.
Well, you have. Yeah, you absolutely have. You've got a lot of experience in all kinds of aspects of life on this radio show. All right. So we're going to have a fantasy baseball segment with Peter Schoenke, who is founder and president of RotoWire Fantasy Sports. That's pretty cool.
It feels like we're going right to the top.
Yes.
Getting the best information possible.
I reached out to Joe Bartel, our fantasy football guy. I said, hey, man, I need a fantasy baseball guy because a lot of people are doing their fantasy baseball drafts. My fantasy baseball draft is this weekend. So I was like, we should do a fantasy baseball segment, get people ready. He's like, it's going to be tough, man. Like, people are in these big tournaments all over the country, traveling to Vegas and doing all this stuff. I don't know. He goes, I got one guy maybe. I'll get back to you. So he gets back to me. I was like, cool. Gives me the number. Like, you got a name?
You're supposed to guess.
Yeah. So he sent it to me. I was like, oh my God, he went to the top of the organization to get us somebody. How cool is that? So a big thanks to Joe Bartel for that. So Peter Schoenke, president of RotoWire, will join us coming up at 3:20. Got fantasy baseball questions, whatever the case may be on that. We are here for you, and we can pass those along to him too. We're going to start off first talking a little bit about the National Football League because there have been names. I think that's the best way I'm going to put this. Names, meaning guys that you know. They may not be as good now as they were back then, but they're names. And a lot of times when there's names, people get excited because they hear a name. And the players that have been released by their teams here recently, and there's been a bunch. Is there anybody else out there for the Packers that you look at and go, I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on that guy? For instance, L'Jarius Sneed, a guy that was sought after, was with the Chiefs, signs a deal last year. He gets released today. That's a cornerback. You need a cornerback unless you're sold on St. Juice and Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon being those guys. And Javon Bullard, we should throw him in there. If you're sold on them, don't need to move on. Rasheed Walker is a guy that was released. He still doesn't have a job. Adam Schefter saying things like, he might have to take a 1-year deal. And then try and hit it big the following year.
If he plays well.
That is a shot to the ego.
Well, I don't really again, I think he was getting overhyped either by his agents, by the
ESPN,
media.
They were all putting him up there.
he didn't play ever like that well to be the number one offensive lineman in free agency. Like everybody was saying, he played good and better than where he was drafted for sure, but not number one guy in free agency type of play like people were saying.
Right. And to me, that is something that you look at and go, man, like I know the Packers aren't going to go back necessarily and go to Rasheed Walker and say, hey, man, you want to come back 1 year, $12 million deal, and we'll hold off on our guy Jordan Morgan at left tackle for one more year. Packers can't do that. The Packers can't hold off on Jordan Morgan for another year. Jordan Morgan must start at left tackle. So as much as you may want Rasheed Walker back at left tackle, realistically, that's just not possible. Like they have to go. Almost like they had to go with Jordan Love on the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Like he had to play. Rodgers knew he had to play. It's no different with Jordan Morgan than it was then. Or with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. They were at the point where either he was going to play or they were going to have to trade him. That's where you are now with the left tackle. So even though Rasheed Walker is still out there, and even though he may end up with only a 1 year deal out of this, I still don't think the Packers can go down that route. Now, another guy that's out there is Kirk Cousins. He's out there. You said who wrote the piece on Kirk Cousins?
Bill Barnwell.
Bill Barnwell from ESPN. Okay. So I was watching NFL Network last night. Been watching it every night, if we're being honest, at Insiders program while all this craziness is going on. Normally, I'm an MLB Network guy, but I've been watching the Insiders, NFL Insiders program. And they were talking about the idea potentially of Cousins being like, no, I'm good. Go taking a TV booth job and then waiting for somebody to go down, taking the call and go moseying on into camp and taking over a starting role somewhere that needs a legit starter to finish off the season.
That's what Jay Cutler did. And he got a job in Miami off of that. And Jay Cutler wasn't exactly the best quarterback, but he was kind of in line with Kirk Cousins and his career trajectory where they had that peak where it was kind of a almost Pro Bowl caliber type of player, if not Pro Bowl caliber type of player that took a couple steps back due to injury, due to the couple other things, situation. And then you can still get a shot. I mean, Philip Rivers got a shot at 400 years old with the Indianapolis Colts. I think he could at least get that. Now, I think he could get that earlier than having to wait and force himself through that type of TV booth gig just so that he can end up back in the NFL. I think there's teams that need him now, so go and get him now.
Here's Charlie Houston, C Sparky Fiber with you. As we've been talking, Illinois on a 23-3 scoring run. Want to know why? They're hitting threes. Want to know why? Badgers can't buy a three at this point. They're like 3 of 13 from three or something along those lines. Well, Blackwell finally just hit one.
And every time Wisconsin goes into the paint, one of the 7-foot players that they have to stop them.
There's no Nolan Winter tonight. Nope. Winter's out again today. So you knew that was going to be an issue with the two bigs that Illinois had. But the bigger issue is going to be if you can't shoot the three and you're Wisconsin, it's going to be tough to beat anybody, especially when you don't have any bigs inside to help with rebounding. Okay, so back to the question. The veteran players that have been released by their teams, who would you like to see the Packers maybe make a run at here and get? I think they're going to get one more player. I don't think they're done. I think one more player here in free agency before the draft, and then they fill with the draft, and then if they need somebody else after June 1st or whatever, then maybe you try and pick up some scraps at that point. Nicolay Law Talker text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, streaming live on X and on YouTube. At WI Sports Radio. Trell, north side of Milwaukee, you're first up on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Trell?
Hey, how you doing, Sparky?
Doing good, man. How are you? What do you got planned for the weekend?
Weekend. I'm probably gonna rest. I'm gonna drop my car off to get some things fixed on it.
Yep.
I'm getting my treadmill hooked up this weekend tomorrow, so I can start my workout plan.
Nice.
And probably go to the laundromat. Probably that too.
There you go. Good. All right. So what do you think? Is there anybody out there you want?
The guy I want, Sparky, is in a trade. And there's been speculation. He's been a guy played under Gannon. I think that would give Gutekunst an A+ for the offseason if he did that. And that'd be Josh Sweat.
Yeah. We talked about him yesterday. Yep.
I definitely, I don't know. I mean, if he doesn't want to spend money, I guess my other guy would be an old veteran like Von Miller. Just from his pedigree, and I guess that you can spout him with some of the young guys that you got, so he doesn't have to play all the time. But of course, you want him on the field when it matters the most, type thing. But I think Josh Sweat would give Gutekunst an A+ offseason. He attacked the special teams. He added depth to the corner room. He got a defensive tackle, and he replaced Gary with Sweat. And then, just plug away in the draft with depth, and maybe you find a everyday cornerback in the draft too. So
okay, so I don't know if you heard yesterday, Trell, but that was suggested by a guy named Mark Oldacres on X that they trade Jaden Reed for Josh Sweat. And as we have the conversation, people were texting in and saying, you probably got to give up something more than Jaden Reed. Then another person texted.
No.
What?
I don't want to trade Jaden Reed. I think he's a very integral part to our team. I'll trade Dontavian Wicks in a pick, maybe.
Yeah.
A fourth rounder or something.
I would be completely fine trading Jaden Reed. Wouldn't bother me. This is the one thing I know. If you have Sweat, Parsons, and Hargrave, and Edgerrin Cooper, I feel pretty good about being able to get a pass rush and not have to worry about that cornerback position nearly as much. If I lose Jaden Reed on the other side of the ball as part of this deal, I still have Matthew Golden. I still have Christian Watson. And you still have Dontavian Wicks as well. Plus, you have their third-round pick from last year, too. I mean, you still got guys, and they can still go draft a guy. The one thing that Goody has shown is he does have an idea of how to draft a wide receiver.
Yeah, Spark, I get you, but I don't want to take too much chunks at that depth. We lost Romeo Dobbs already. That's fine. I think we got enough depth to take care of that. But if you trade Reed, one more injury to your room, and you're leaking.
Yeah.
So no, I don't want to do that. I mean, I think you can get Josh Sweat. He doesn't want to be there. Ask for a trade out, and just give him 2 picks. If it's a third and a fifth or whatever, I don't care. Give him something, but don't trade one of your impact offensive players. No way.
Gotcha. All right, Drell, appreciate it. Thanks for the call. So he's out. He ain't about trading Jaden Reed. Not about it. John in Milwaukee used the Nick Law talking text line. The Packers should resign Emmanuel Wilson. He's been healthy and very productive for Green Bay. Trade Marshawn Lloyd instead, says John in Milwaukee. Well, John, I have bad news for you. Our guy, really Tommy's guy, Emmanuel Wilson, signed a deal with the Seattle Seahawks for like $2.1 million yesterday, and then took to social media with a green and blue dot, celebrating it because that's his hometown team. That was his team growing up that he rooted for, and he's happy to be playing for the team that he rooted for with the Seattle Seahawks. Charlie and I were having this exact same conversation about Emmanuel Wilson, and in fact, it's going to be the 4:00 topic coming up on our Green and Gold update about whether or not you would have done a deal for Emmanuel Wilson to bring him back for a couple of $1 million versus letting him go somewhere else. So we'll get more into that coming up at 4:00. From the 414, Otis in New Berlin, he uses the Nicolay Law talking text line, 414-677-1250. I'd kick the tires on Rasul Douglas for depth, Calais Campbell, and Jadeveon Clowney to keep the big line fresh. That's Otis in New Berlin. Any of those names tickle your fancy, Mr. Charlie?
Do not kick the tires on Rasul Douglas. You've done it once already. You were ready to move on from him.
It worked well the first time.
He hasn't really been good since then. He's had other opportunities with other defenses to take that next step once again. I just think when you have a guy like L'Jarius Sneed out on the market right now, even some of these other players that are available at other positions that you could be looking at, depth on the offensive line, even just, again, at cornerback, you have Trey White, Marshawn Lattimore, Trevon Diggs. Any of these guys I'd rather give an opportunity to than Rasul Douglas, who, yes, had one good year with the Green Bay Packers. It's a new system. It's new players around him. It's not going to be the same team. It's not going to be the same situation. I'd rather give a player that's done it more recently a chance to do that.
Do you want old guy Calais Campbell? Because Packer Nation wants Calais Campbell.
I'm down
Packers
with Calais
Nation
Campbell.
has wanted Calais Campbell for the last 2 off seasons.
I'm down with Calais Campbell. And part of it is I've always liked Calais Campbell just as a player growing up. He's just one of those dudes that, like, the NFL loved putting on a stage and that, like, fans ate it up. He's awesome. He's a great dude. I loved him growing up. It'd be cool to have him in the green and gold. At the same time, I get why you would be concerned about him. He's an older player. He's a guy that hasn't been as productive, as nearly productive as he was earlier in his career. He's still consistent, and he's still on the field all the time, and that's something the Green Bay Packers are missing. If you can get him for a cheap enough deal, which I don't know if you can. I think there's other teams that are looking for a lot of the same veteran skills that the Packers are. You should be able to go out and get a guy like Calais Campbell.
I got another one coming in on the talk and text line. By the way, you people that text, y'all can call too. I mean, I don't mind reading text. It's okay. I like to have the conversation, like Trell. I like having the conversation, the back and forth, because then Charlie can get in. 3 of us can be talking. Just saying, I'd like to hear your voice, too. Some of y'all are at work, so I understand you can't call. Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250. Mike in Greendale, why are we not talking about Bosa? Bosa being Joey Bosa, who is still sitting out there as we sit here today. Now, looking at Joey Bosa, age 30. He'll be 31 coming up here on July 11th. Joey Bosa was in Buffalo last year, his first year in Buffalo last year. He had 5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, though. Goodness gracious. By far the most in his career. I take that back. He had a year where he had 7 forced fumbles in 2021. So 5 sacks. If you look at his sack numbers, he played 15 games this year, had 5. The previous year, he played 14, had 5. Then the 2 years previous to that, he only played 14 total between 22 and 23. 21, he had 10.5. So it's been 5 years since he's registered double-digit sacks.
Well, and he's just another guy who doesn't stay on the field. Yes, he played 14 games in 2024. He only started 9 of those because he was coming on and off the field. They were working him into spots. This past year, he still only played 15 games, which is pretty close to a full season, but it's not a full season. Joey Bosa is a guy that, again, he can be on the field, he can be productive at points, but is he going to be healthy on the field for this team?
Well, 15 and 14 the last 2 years.
Again, it's coming in and out of those games. He's not playing full games. He's on snap limits in a lot of these. He's just not a guy that I think you can rely on to be on the field. And the Packers at this point in their kind of rebuild need to find guys who can stay on the field more likely.
I'm interested, Mike. I think I'm in on Joey Bosa. And the reason I think I'm in on Joey Bosa is because clearly he's not going to sign a big deal at this point coming off of 5 sacks. It's not going to happen. And with his health history, but if I can get Joey Bosa a year at $8 million or $10 million or something like that, and I have him with Micah Parsons and with Hargrave and with these dudes that are all respected vets and have all done things in their career and they're feeding off each other and doing their thing. I mean, Bosa has never had a Micah Parsons guy on the other side of the line from him. He's never had that luxury. I mean, with the Chargers, he had to go be the guy with the Chargers. And this situation with the Packers, he can be the other guy. And I'll give you something else. He doesn't have to play every down. They can rotate him in and out with some of these other guys to keep him fresh. I don't hate the idea. I don't, because you don't got to trade anything. Like Josh Sweat, you have to trade for. Now, Josh Sweat has way more production. I understand. But you don't have to trade picks. You're not tied up for 2 more years at $20+ million every year like you are for Josh Sweat, because that's what he's got left on his deal. 3 years total, but the next 2 you'll have to pay full boat on. This Bosa deal can be a 1-year deal and you can be out. I like that. I don't mind that at all. I never thought of it. I'll be honest. Bosa wasn't in my mind. When we started the show, Joey Bosa was not somebody I was thinking about. But then you bring it up and I go, 29 games the last 2 years. He gives me 14, 15 games. I'd be happy with that out of 17. I'm good with that.
You have to be sure the rest of those guys are going to be able to step up with their production. Adding 5 sacks in place of, yes, Rashawn Gary, who didn't do anything in the second half of the season, still 7.5 sacks. That's 2.5 sack difference. That's still some. Kingsley Enagbari, you got to replace his 2.5 sacks too.
Do you think? Now again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I watched a bunch of Buffalo Bills football games last year because I didn't. Do you think he pulls up running across the field, or do you think he goes all the way?
Hopefully, all the way.
But that's just it. So I mean, if I'm Micah Parsons and I'm watching film, like, hey, what do you think about Joey Bosa? If I'm Micah, I'm watching and going, does he play hard all the way through? Does he run all the way to the ball, or does he pull up like Rashawn? That's what I want to know. That's what I'm looking at. Because if he plays hard all the way through and I can get him for $8 million a year for 1 year on a prove-it type deal, yeah.
I mean, I guess if that's only what the Packers are looking for out of a replacement for Rashawn Gary, I just feel like they should be looking for more than that. More than just the will to play, but they can have the production too.
Right, but other than Josh Sweat, which would have to be in a trade, in free agency, what's out there would you be like, this guy's definitely going to get us to double digits? or this guy's definitely going to be more of an impact guy. I think what's left are a bunch of question marks. A lot of it because of age at this point, of you just don't know what they're going to bring. I mean, Calais Campbell could start having senior citizen coffees here in the next couple of years, and people still want him. Why? Because he's going to give you probably a half dozen sacks. He's going to be a disruptor in the middle of the line, and that's why people get excited. He's long, right? So maybe he blocks a couple of passes. There's a reason why fans gravitate to certain guys, because they just see production each and every year. He's a problem. And wherever he is, Packers usually end up having to play the dude. And it becomes an issue from one way or the other. I like the Joey Bosa idea. I'm not opposed to the Joey Bosa idea. Again, I didn't think of it, but I'm not opposed to it. Nate in Mequon, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Nate?
Hey, Sparky, how you doing?
Good.
I love the idea of this free agency coming up. When Joey Bosa's name, like you said, you don't think about it, but he is a premier name, even though he's, Nick Bosa, again, in stats is better than Joey, but Joey's a hard worker. During the AFC, I think it was the divisional round when they played the Broncos, there was a play, and again, Joey's a veteran, you think he moves a little slow, but he busted his butt all the way across the line, got Bo Nix out of the pocket. That's what you want.
Yes.
You got Mike on one side, you got Joey on the other.
Yep.
That's exactly the type of player that you want to push through. And I know, concerns of last year not finishing hard through the ball. Having a veteran, even in the locker room, having that mindset, I think changes a lot.
It absolutely does. And that's what I'm looking for here. Thanks for the call. Good job, Mike in Greendale. Good job. I think that's a smart play. I don't mind that play. Now, again, let me ask you this. If it's Calais Campbell, L'Jarius Sneed, or Bosa?
Sneed.
I think Sneed's going to have to be a long-term deal. I think Campbell, you can get on a one-year deal.
I'm not complaining about that, though. If it's a long-term at $12 million a year, like 3 to 4 years at $12 million, like that's not a bad deal for a guy like L'Jarius Sneed at a position that you have the most need at right now.
Dude, they cut him after 1 year.
But before that with Kansas City,
I know
we've talked about how volatile the cornerback position is along with the kicker position, all these other spots. I think you can have guys who have those resurgence type careers. Stephon Gilmore was released by the Patriots a year after winning his defensive player of the year and then came back with the Colts and was awesome and then played with the Vikings and was awesome. He figured it out. Some of these guys can just do that. Why not give the guy that's done it more recently, again, the chance?
Fair point. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. I am not a Manny Machado fan. In fact, I enjoy booing Manny Machado and rooting against Manny Machado. But I think him and I found some common ground, something that we actually agree on, maybe for the first time ever. We'll tell you what that is straight ahead. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen on a Friday. We'll do some fantasy baseball talk. Peter Schoenke, president, founder of RotoWire, will join us coming up at 3:20. Don Woczulis is at the United Center for Big Ten tournament play between Illinois and Wisconsin. Wisconsin trailing by 5, 34-29. Minute 21 to go in the first half. That game's on the Big Ten Network, if you want to check that out. And now Woczulis will check in with us as soon as that's done. Plus, he's keeping you updated at WI Sports Radio as well with pictures and videos and updates. So follow that for that too. Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Havish. Havish Frontier comes up at 4:20. Anybody that you want to tell to shush, quit talking. You make yourself look foolish. All you got to do is text in your nominee for that. Could be a host on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, could be callers or texters, could be anybody that you see on TV or hear on the radio, athletes, GMs, presidents, literally anybody. Somebody in your family you want to nominate. That's fine. Doesn't bother me at all. 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. I said before the break that I'm not a Manny Machado guy. I enjoy booing Manny Machado. And I think most of us all do not like Manny Machado at this point. But Manny Machado was on MLB on Foul Territory, specifically. AJ Pierzynski, Eric Kratz, and those guys. And talking about how loud it was for, some of these World Baseball Classic games. Check this out.
Can you describe last night's atmosphere for us?
Honestly, I can't because it was just insane. I mean, it was unbelievable. Both crowds, nonstop for 9 innings. Even pregame for BP was kind of crazy here. So, it was pretty special.
How did it compare to a playoff atmosphere? Because I've heard a couple guys say it didn't compare at all. It was completely different.
It doesn't. It doesn't. I keep telling people. I mean, we got to bring this to the playoffs. You got to be able to, let fans bring, drums, sets, whatever you can bring, guitars, and just start banging stuff and make noise. I mean, I think it just makes it more emotional.
Padres fans, you heard the man. He wants you to bring drums and what else to the playoffs next year?
Everything that makes noise, bring it.
I could not agree more. The question is this: should the MLB be considering allowing noisemakers in the stands? Should that be allowed? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. What were those things called? Vuvuzuelas or whatever they're called?
Yeah, I think that's what
something like that.
Vuvuzuelas is.
Something like that.
I'll double check.
And there are those long horns, right? And you blow them and they're so annoying. And they were such a big thing at the World Cup. Was it the last World Cup, 2 World Cups ago? So many of them. It sounded like a hive of bees or something going on. It got to be so loud. And in fact, I asked Rick Schlesinger about this. I want to say president of business operations for the Brewers. I think it was last year leading into the playoff series, because the first time the Brewers went on after their 26-year drought of not being in the playoffs, I was at both those 2 home games. At that point, it was called Miller Park. And, you had the towels. Okay, that was game 1. That was fun. And then game 2, they had these long, blow-up things, like thunder sticks, I think they were called, with the Brewers logo on them. And everybody had their thunder sticks that they were hitting together. And I was like, hey, we bringing those back? He's like, oh, can't have those. Can't have noisemakers or whatever. I was like, well, that's kind of silly. Like, why couldn't you have thunder sticks? Those are fun. They're just plastic blow-up, kind of like balloons, I guess, to a certain degree. Just hit them together. So Major League Baseball doesn't want any of this. Now, for so long, people have called the NFL the no fun league and all of that stuff, right? Rob Manfred is the commissioner of Major League Baseball. Rob Manfred is a guy that has been attacked time and time and time again for not loving the sport like Bud Selig does, not understanding the tradition of the sport like Bud Selig did. All of this nonsense that people have been going at Rob Manfred for, right? And all Rob Manfred has done, even those of you that hate Rob Manfred the most, I'm looking at you, Ronnie Makloff, even those of you that hate Rob have got to admit this, he's made things better. This is a more entertaining product than it's ever been to watch right now is Major League Baseball. He's improved the sport. Whether he loves it as much as Bud Selig or not is irrelevant. What we do know is he made it better, right? You agree?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason people don't like him is the Astros scandal. The majority of people
Fine.
that don't like him, and that's the only thing that is under his belt really that hasn't been good, especially when you're compared to the other commissioners across the leagues right now. Adam Silver, man, he's going straight down a hole this moment. People don't like him very much. I think Rob Manfred has done an all right job to keep the game afloat and even raise it up.
Yes, absolutely has raised it up. Now, you look at the World Baseball Classic numbers, right? You got to give Bud Selig credit for that. I mean, that USA game was 5 million people. That is crazy. The second highest rated game, the second highest game so far was another USA game that was like 3 million people. They're doing something right. Now, why do I love watching the World Baseball Classic so much? For the emotion, for the fans in the stands, and the intensity that mounts in these games because of the fans in the stands. That's what drives it. Then the players and their emotions feed off of what's going on in the stands. That's all a thing. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you, yeah, we should be able to have noisemakers all year long in American Family Field. No. But I agree with Manny Machado. When the postseason comes, the intensity should ratchet up. And the people coming in should be allowed to have it. And if you want to control it and say, no, you're not allowed to bring your own drums in or whatever else, okay, then you figure out sections of, hey, who wants to hit the drums today? We're bringing it to the outfield or whatever. Cool. You bring your own. Got your own logo on it, whole deal. You control the situation. Hand out some of those vuvuzelas or whatever in the stands with a Brewers logo on it to the first 30,000 people at a playoff game, or everybody gets one, and let everybody go hog wild with the damn things. Fine. Do that. Bring back the Thundersticks. Let them have that in the postseason to make it more, even more of a fun atmosphere. Now, don't get me wrong. Going to a playoff game is fun. A baseball playoff game, very fun. And probably more fun in certain places than others. But you do this, you bring this, that's what you want. You want more emotion in the game. And I always complain to Charlie about what? What do I think is the most pointless thing in the world for playoff games?
What are you talking about?
T-shirts. Oh, we're all going to put on
I think
T-shirts.
This is the dumbest take. That's why
we're all going to put on T-shirts, and that's going to affect the game. It affects nothing. It's a visual for TV. Other than that, it's the dumbest thing ever. They do it in college. They do it in the NFL. They do it in baseball, basketball. So stupid. Give me some noisemakers. You know what else they can do? How about cowbells? Give cowbells to everybody walking in. Let's have a bunch of cowbells going crazy. That's, to me, this is how you fix it. What say you? Should the MLB considering allowing noisemakers in their stands? And again, even if it's just for the playoffs, like Manny Machado was saying. Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. What do you say, Charlie?
First of all, again, I think you're the only person who gets that mad at T-shirts.
It's just such a pointless promotion.
But it's cool.
I mean, I guess you make money if you have a sponsor on it from that perspective.
You have that, or like the Brewers do the T-shirts that they give out that have the really cool like Milwaukee artist designs on them. If you make it actually worth going to get the shirt and it looks cool, I think that's worthwhile. And I think it also has people talking about, hey, you were at that game. You were at that game. When they take pictures of big moments at the game and everybody's wearing the same shirt around the stadium, it looks cooler. Like all that stuff is worthwhile to me.
Who do you know where you said, boy, that looks pretty sweet, that picture of you're in that shit game? I don't know one person.
I bet if I saw a cool picture,
you don't know anybody either. Stop. Go on. Move forward.
It's cool. I think it's cool. I think that to your point, talking about moving these things into like maybe sections in the outfield or something like that, at least limit it. You can break the rules a little bit without completely disrupting these games. I guess that's what they're worried about, is that every game is just going to be a disruption all the time. But like the Cubs did with the cup snake kind of controversy that they had, where they started just changing the rules to make it easier for the people that were doing it to clean it up afterwards too, or control it a little bit more, but still allowing the fans to do that because they had fun doing that. It got them to pay attention to the game even a little bit more, have more fun around the stadium. You can change the rules to do that with the noisemakers. And I remember having those boomsticks. I probably still have a pair of them in my parents' room back home. Like all of this stuff is so memorable to me. And it does suck that they don't have that anymore. at the same time, I understand, I guess, in some ways why you don't have them anymore, but you can find ways to bend those rules and bring them back at least a little bit.
What's the reason you don't have them?
I just feel like, again, it's a distraction of the game from a business
They
standpoint.
want it. The players want it.
From the owners and the coaches, it's a distraction.
You know what?
They take away from.
I'll tell you what. We should start getting players on and being like, we want you all to fight for this in the CBA.
Oh, I bet pitchers hate it.
You all are going to sit here and hold out for a year, whatever it's going to be. Can you at least get them to bring noisemakers back in the playoffs? Like the Manny Machados and these guys, seriously. Okay, we're going to give this up. We want the fans to be able to make noise in the stands in the playoffs. We want it to be a World Baseball Classic environment in the playoffs. That's one of our stipulations. If we're giving up X, whatever X is, then we want this at least given back to us to let the fans have more fun than they are currently in the playoffs. Because you can't, it's unarguable. That's a way better environment for a game. If you've never been to a World Baseball Classic game, I have. Went with Tim. I've told the story. I think it was the first year in Arizona. That is amazing. Like, it is such a great atmosphere. We talk about bucket list items and all that other stuff. To me, that would be one where I would say, try to get to one. Try to get to one if you can at some point when they're in the U.S. They're awesome.
The other thing I was going to say is I feel like that doing these types of promotions for every single playoff game from, again, a franchise perspective, it's expensive for these special
it's all
things.
Sponsored out. You don't pay for anything.
Still, though.
You make money. Just like that, you make money on all this stuff. All of it's sponsored out. And people will want to be on it.
That takes
Why?
time to go sell those one boomsticks.
You've got the boomstick still, you said.
Well, that was a maybe, but yes, that was one pair from 15 years ago. They haven't done them for 10 years.
That's because they outlawed it. That's the only reason.
And they were okay with that. They were okay with it being outlawed. The franchises, like I'm saying, the teams.
Not the players.
They don't care what the players think.
Right. And that's why we're going to have a holdout and we aren't going to have baseball next year.
Exactly, because they don't care what the players think.
And that's the issue that we have here, right? And the fans, whatever. This is something that I think, me personally, would love to see them actually fight for. Let's see here. From the 414, Brian from New Berlin. The problem is there would be some jackwagon that would bring in an air horn, and totally try to distract pitchers or batters. Air horns. Yeah, that could be loud. I understand the air horn thing. Would it bother me? No. It would definitely throw off a pitcher. So you'd have to, like I said, you can control it and say, we're going to have noisemakers, but they're going to be the ones that we give out from time to time. You could just tell the players, yeah, we're going to have them, but we hand out the noisemakers. We're not going to ban them. Like, we're not going to not be allowed to give. Right now, they can't give them away. Like, MLB has a ban on the teams. They can't give away noisemakers. But you're telling me if you got a cowbell with a Brewers logo on it and a Sargento cheese or some cheese company or whatever on the other side of it, you don't think that's being put up on a shelf in somebody's man cave or whatever else of that playoff game? Of course. They're going to have it forever. All right, take a quick time out. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Hope y'all are doing well. Potawatomi Sportsbook, baby. That is where you are going to want to be. Got hoops action going on. Got baseball getting ready to start. Got UFC fight nights going on. You name it, they've got it. 2,000 square foot center screen in the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 30 sporting events at one time. 2 levels of seating with all kinds of different options. Always tell people, reserve your seat ahead of time. You don't have to. You can go there and hope to get lucky and get an empty seat, or you're just going to go there and stand. Now, mind you, they have a couple hundred seats, so it's not like they're lacking seating. They're definitely not. But it's super popular because, like I always say, I think it's the best sports book in the Midwest. So people obviously agree with me, and that's why it's packed all the time. So that would be my suggestion. They have a full kitchen, the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, full menu, all-day brunch. You got pastries and desserts, homemade after each and every day at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. It's the place to go. Promise. That's where you want to be, okay? And next week, Thursday, we will be there in the annex, just off the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 9 to noon, we'll be there with John Kuhn and Robbie Mackloff. We'll be broadcasting both of those guys live and in person. Mitch Thunder Nellis will be there for the Mason Crosby Show broadcasting. I'll be there with Wisconsin Sports Daily, have the hoops games on, the whole deal. So come hang out with us at the annex next Thursday, too. It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. Again, Potawatomi.com for more information. You got to be 21 to enter the casino.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right. So, Charlie, where are we going first?
All right, first up, I'm going to start with the clip that's been going around the internet all day today. Travis A-Chain, apparently is how you're supposed to say it, sets the record straight on how to pronounce his name, the new Saints running back.
So, growing up, it's Travis A-Chain. So, it'd be like A-C-H-A-N-E. And that's how you always said Travis A-Chain. But when I went to college, I kept telling them my name like every day. And like after like 4 weeks, they just couldn't get it. So I'm like, man, it's ETN. Like, is how you see it is how you say it. So and that's how that became. And it kind of took off because it was easy for the pronouncers to say it. I didn't have to just tell them. I didn't have to correct them every day to say my name. And just when I kind of just started learning more about my last name and how it came about and things like that, it just kind of stuck and made sense. But I'm very much open to being Travis A-Chain again, just being myself. I don't have to correct people here on how to say my name each and every day, and I kind of love that. And that's just get back to me.
A-Chain. What's the running back's name in Miami?
A-Chain.
Oh yeah, no confusion there. Oh,
they got his name's Devin A-Chain. It's not
A-Chain, A-Chan. And again, that does not look like A-Chan to me. Not my deal to come up with the pronunciation of the kid's name by any stretch.
Well,
I'm just saying, if you look at it, I don't see how E becomes A.
It's how they pronounce it down in Louisiana. They have a bunch of different pronunciations for different words down there. Like it's a whole different culture.
Very good. You remember Segura played for the Brewers?
Gene Segura.
Yeah. Gene Segura.
Yeah.
Right. So when they traded for him, I said it was Jean Segura. And then I was quickly corrected that, no, they call him Gene. Okay. I believe it was Rami that went down to the clubhouse and talked to him. I don't know. Somebody from our staff went down there. And they're like, hey, man, like, how do you say your name? He's like, a John Segura. He's like, but they Americanized it. So everybody calls me Gene Segura or whatever else. But it's actually John. So I just kept saying it John. And people get so mad. It's Gene. It's not John. It's Gene. Oh, I was like, no, too bad. I'm going to continue to call him John. But anyways, go ahead.
Next up, we're going to head on over to First Take, where Chris Mad Dog Russo was on the show, and he was discussing he hates the idea of Thanksgiving Eve football.
Has scheduled for 2026 a regular season game on Good Friday. There's a game on April 5th as a regular season game, and then they double down. They're going to do one on Mother's Day. Then they're going to have one on Memorial Day. What is he talking about? And then they're going to have a game on July 4th. And then they're going to have a game on Father's Day before July 4th. And then they're going to wrap it up. And they're going to have it on the Sunday in the middle of August just to get whetting our appetite for a regular season. They're going to play a game. They're exploring one on Thanksgiving Eve. Now the NFL wants to play a game on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Listen, half the games you give us on Thanksgiving stink anyway because you can't flex it, and we're stuck with Denver, Kansas City. We're freaking Omaha. So now we're going to explore playing the game on Thanksgiving Eve. That's an NBA night. I'm in bed at 8 o'clock. I worked all week, and I worked on this stupid show with him. And then I got to sit there and I got to go home and watch a regular season NFL game with guys who played on Sunday. I mean, that's a little rough.
No.
I know they're only exploring it, but can the NFL leave a holy day alone?
Holy day. Yeah. A lot of people get drunk on that night. I understand the sarcasm and everything over the top. And I agree it's becoming too much. I don't think most people agree. I think most people would love an NFL game every day of the week. I would guess that if there's a game on Wednesday, those would be teams coming off of a bye week the previous week. That would be my guess how they do it if they have a brain in their head.
I hope it's not a Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes versus the Jets.
Can't control that. We make the schedule. It is what it is. You're not going to be able to control it. But I will tell you, as I've said before, I hate Detroit and Dallas just being given games every Thanksgiving. I absolutely cannot stand that. That should rotate. They can have it every other year at home, but somebody else should get a home game in those time slots. Coming up next, let's talk about the Crew. News on Quinn Priester and Logan Henderson straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie using other side of the glass. Just venting in the commercial break to Charlie about travel baseball. It's good working with Charlie because Charlie lives through everything that I live through. I pull him into all of my life drama, right? Is that true?
Yeah.
And that way,
accurate.
and the reason I do it is because, A, I have to get off my chest, and I can't just yell at anybody about stuff. So I pick Charlie because I know Charlie is good. And Charlie eventually will have kids. So when he gets to certain aspects of his life, he can be like, I remember Sparky went through this, and this is how he handled it, and that was wrong. So I'm going to handle it differently than Sparky to make sure I do it the right way. And then you go from there.
Sometimes I'm happy that like I wasn't good enough at the club sports. Like I was a football guy. That's just what ended up being my niche.
No club football.
There's no club football. You just play the high school football, so it's a lot cheaper at that end of things. My sisters were club volleyball players, and a lot of the stuff you're complaining about is a lot of the same stuff my parents were complaining about.
That's expensive too.
So I get it. It's a very political world, a lot of weird stuff going on, man.
Absolute insanity. Okay, 3 o'clock hour. Peter Schoenke, president of RotoWire and founder of RotoWire. I feel privileged to have this dude on. He's coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. We're going to do fantasy baseball. So if you got some fantasy baseball questions, we have our draft coming up this week in the league that I'm in. We'll take your fantasy baseball questions for Peter. You can text them in if you'd like or call them in. Again, using the Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Also, once the Badger-Illinois game is done in the Big Ten Conference Tournament, our guy Don with Chillis, College Sports Weekly, him and Dan Underberg do Saturday mornings, 9 to 11, including tomorrow morning from 9 to 11. He's there at the game down in Chicago, so he'll call us as soon as this game is done. If you follow us on X at WI Sports Radio, you'll see him doing updates throughout the game, pictures, videos, all of that fun stuff. Badgers losing by double figures again. Now it's 58-45 Illinois. Wisconsin closed it coming to the end of the half. Now Illinois is opening back up again, 12:35 to go in that one down at the United Center. So that also is coming up. But now it's 3 o'clock, so we got to go here.
It's time to talk about the crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, so we're going to make this about two guys that have been hurt for the Milwaukee Brewers. One of which is Logan Henderson, who I think most Brewers fans like a lot and think could be really, really good for this Brewers team. And I concur. I think he also could be really good at some point for the Brewers. Last year, he got shut down with elbow inflammation. Nothing was really done. We get through the offseason, we get back to spring training, and guess what? Elbow inflammation again. Now comes word today, Adam McKelvey put out on X that I saw, that apparently Logan Henderson is fine now, and they're going to pitch him in a game. Now put that to the side, push it over here. Just remember what I just said about Logan Henderson. All good. We're going to pitch him in a game now. Okay, there's that. Then we have Quinn Priester. Now, if you remember on this show, we talked about Quinn Priester and how he was having pain that was coming from his wrist shooting up his arm. And we had a person that called in and said, hey, Sparky, I had a buddy who I used to play baseball with that had the exact same thing, and he was out 1.5 years, that it was nerve damage, and he had to have surgery and was out for quite some time. And I've been telling that story on the air since it happened. Like, we've been having guests on. I've been relaying what this guy said because it made sense. So here comes Quinn Priester to talk about his injury because he went to a specialist yesterday. And when Kurt Hogue was on this show yesterday, he said they were waiting to talk to Priester and waiting to talk to the Brewers to find out what exactly the specialist came up with, the vascular specialist. And this is what Quinn Priester had to say at his locker room down spring training, thanks to Adam McKelvey.
I'm just kind of excited that we kind of have a diagnosis that we can move through. I feel like we've kind of been dancing around what some of these issues were, and just to be able to have a clear path forward, I think is really good.
Is it a nerve?
It's it's nervy, so it's kind of like jumping all the way down to the wrist there, and obviously that's how it presented first, and then just some other stuff that we're able to kind of notice, feel a little bit tighter in some areas, and then just kind of know that something wasn't 100% right, and then being able to find out what that was, I think, is good, so that we can attack it and make it right.
TOS is a little scary when you hear that for pitchers. Why, without getting too deep into this, but why is this one not so scary?
I guess I don't know. It's more of how you attack the situation. I kind of go into it with the idea of, hey, right now we're doing what we can to get me back on the mound, with the bullpen on the 21st and those things. I think those are the reasons why, we have those goals in mind. And with those goals in mind, you're not thinking negatively. Definitely one of, it's not a very common diagnosis, but ultimately it's becoming more and more common. We're seeing these cases more and definitely feel confident that what we've learned about it so far is going to give me an opportunity to pitch for us this year and, as soon as possible. So just being optimistic and confident, I think is the right path forward.
What did the doctor tell you specifically about the treatment plan and his confidence that would be able to get you back on the mound?
Yeah, I think, essentially the way it's kind of explained is there's 3 different types of this. I think thrombal, the neurogenic, and I'm probably butchering it, some of it, but and then arterial or something along the lines. Yeah, something like that. And if you were to be able to choose this one. So that's another reason why we have the confidence in it. And so, and ultimately, there's just been a history of guys being able to make it back and pretty quickly from something like this and have the body kind of reset and get away from some of those things that are pressing on the nerve and all that stuff. That just, yeah, I wish I was a doctor and could explain it better.
But we heard even you were up playing a little.
Yeah, yesterday throwing. So it's one of those weird ones where it's not like, hey, you just can't do anything, because it's just kind of that nerve part where structurally we're in a good spot. It's just something's pushing against that nerve that ultimately we're working to not do that.
What's best case right now for pitching in the game, do you think?
I don't know. You kind of have to talk to how we have it mapped out. I think in my head, I'd love, late April, May, but I'm certainly think I'm on the optimistic side as the player. I want to be back as quick as possible. So ultimately, I'll trust whatever the scheduling is there to make sure we do it right, so then we don't run into anything else trying to rush back. It's a long season. It's a marathon. So get back as fast as possible, but as smartly as possible.
All right, there is Quinn Priester talking earlier today at his locker at Brewers spring training. So Logan Henderson, elbow inflammation, okay, even though he had it at the end of the year, had it again in the spring. Now they say he's okay. He's going to pitch in the game, according to Adam McKelvey. Here is Priester saying, I think I'll be back by April or May. They asked him what was the plan for the rehab, or how do they plan on getting it better. Priester never answered the question, never told him what the plan of attack was. It's like, okay, we got to do some exercises. We're going to rest more. I can't throw as whatever. He never answered the question. Now, in fairness, he may have forgot the question once he started talking. So I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying there was never an answer to that question. And he says he's being positive by saying the end of April or early May. So that very well could mean it could be mid to end of May, if that's the positive side of this, potentially. And again, I'm glass half empty guy. My question is this. Are you worried this is going the way of Matt LaFleur and the Packers? Are you worried we're heading down the exact same path? Meaning, Jair's good, out he goes, and he's hurt. Zach Tommy's good. Zach Thomas good. Out he goes, and he's out again. Over and over and over again the last couple of years. This player is good, and that player immediately gets hurt again and is out again. That's what we saw in Green Bay, right? The Bucks and Giannis. Giannis this last time said, maybe I was rushing back, and I got to be more careful not to come back too early and stuff. So the Bucks themselves were doing the exact same thing with Giannis this year. And now here we sit with the Milwaukee Brewers. Are you concerned that Priestler's going to come back and he's going to get shut down again? Henderson is coming back and he's going to get shut down again. And that there probably isn't true answers to either one of these situations at this point, but yet they're both going to get run back out there again. Nikolai Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I have the biggest issue that Henderson with elbow inflammation ended the season that way, and we have it again in the spring. What happened during the offseason? What was going on? I just, how do we have the same exact issue all over again? And it's been months since this guy had pitched. How are you having Priester pitch with this to begin with? Because he pitched through it at the end of last year. And again, we go through an entire offseason with no idea what's wrong with him, apparently. Nobody has answers. He himself said that. And it gets all the way to this point, to like the fourth guy, before they can figure out what is actually truly wrong with him. Wouldn't you have wanted an answer immediately when the season was done? Wouldn't you have thought an answer would have been good to have by, November 1st? So then you have November, December, January to do whatever the exercises are, rest, whatever, to try and fix this nerve issue before you get back to spring training versus not having a clear idea of what was going on this entire offseason. That is what is frustrating to me, Charlie Usen.
And I get why that's frustrating, but also, I mean, who says they didn't do that? And that the advice was rest, do these stretches that you've been doing, all these things. He
said they didn't know what it was, but that means you never had an answer, Charlie.
But that doesn't mean that you didn't also get inspected and that a doctor still didn't tell you, hey, you can do these things to try to at least subdue it.
Charlie,
Sparky.
If you have pain, you go to a doctor, not quite sure what it is. Try this. It doesn't work. Do you go, oh, well.
No, you keep going back, which is probably what he did. And sometimes it takes 12 times to go back to a doctor.
12 different doctors?
Sparky, I have had those types of injuries where they don't know what you're doing. Yeah, not always doctors, sometimes trainers. Sometimes these people that you're
opinions with a doctor, a specialist, whatever. This is a major league baseball team.
They didn't want to jump to surgery. They were doing things that all of these things that we're talking about, elbow inflammation, this nerve damage. Sometimes it does just take rest and going through the stretching programs that they have to try to get that down. And
you have a lot of experience with nerve damage?
I do. I have nerve damage in my shoulder. So thank you very much. I do.
So tell me about it.
You have those situations where it just doesn't go away and you can not practice. You can do things. You can not work out. You can stretch.
He rested in the offseason, he said.
Yeah, and it can come back because it's come back before. That's what happens.
1 second here. I just want to see if I got this correctly. So you think they did diagnose him right and that he
When did I say they diagnosed him? I said they gave him things to try.
No.
He tried.
I don't want you to try anything. I want an answer of what is wrong. And
sometimes you can't get that right away.
I am the Milwaukee Brewers organization. I have as much money and more money than you have or I have to go flip doctor bills for office visits and waste our time. Eventually, most human beings that don't have a lot of money, just like, to hell with it. Doctors don't know anything. I keep going back for this issue. Nobody can figure it out. I'm done going. And they just deal with it. Okay? And from that aspect, I get down with it. I understand it because you're sick of spending money on it. I understand that. This is a major league baseball team, a professional team that has money invested in this dude. This dude is trying to make a living and get a big contract at some point. The idea that you didn't have an answer to this question until we get to this point of spring training before you decide maybe we should try a different specialist, to me, not to Charlie, to me is completely uncalled for and absolutely freaking ridiculous. There's no way that should happen.
A lot of the times the answer right away, if you just want to fix it, is surgery. And surgery can affect somebody's life for the rest of their life.
Sure.
And this is still a human being who still has other options that Charlie, they can go through, that they can try other things before they go straight to surgery.
Right. And surgery has not been brought up as an option. Brewers haven't brought up surgery as an option. He hasn't brought up surgery as an option. Neither one of them have. So again, are they telling us everything? Is surgery a possibility? And they're just keeping it on the down low, hoping we can drag out half the season and put the Brewers in limbo because they don't know if he's going to pitch or not and try and figure this out and then potentially have surgery. Or, like Charlie said, Maybe he's going to have it for the rest of his life, and it'll never go away and his career's over. I have no
Who
idea.
says his career's over? You can pitch through this stuff. He did for an entire season, half season last year.
So you think the rest of he's going to have to deal with this?
Maybe. That's a lot of athletes go through that.
No chance. Maybe I'm wrong, but if it's as simple as can't do any more damage, go ahead, pitch through it, deal with the pain, kid. Then he would be out there in the week 1, right?
Or you give him the rest to try to see, because this is the first time it happened.
3 months of rest, man. And they gave him rest. He was throwing yesterday. He's about to go throw a bullpen, he said, in a couple of days. They're done with the rest portion. He's still throwing. I don't know. Charlie understands that he's not fixed. I don't. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Up next, Peter Schoenke, president of RotoWire, here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
What sound clips?
It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie Usen producing Other Side of the Glass. Joining us now for the first time on the guest line. Powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. A true honor at that. Being joined now by Peter Schoenke, president of RotoWire. Follow him on X at Peter Schoenke. Normally we have Joe Bartel on from RotoWire every Friday talking fantasy football, which was amazing. And I texted him earlier today, hey, man, I need a fantasy baseball. He's like, Sparky, it's going to be tough. We got guys all over at all these different events across the country and so forth. He's like, but I might have a guy. I said, all right, you might have a guy. He didn't say that the guy was the guy that ran the company, man. Peter, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. Honor is probably too high a word, but glad to be here.
It's good stuff. So let's start here because I wasn't planning on having this conversation. So how did this all begin with RotoWire?
Well, I started 30 years ago, and I used to be a reporter covering the futures and options markets for Dow Jones and the Wall Street Journal. And
Wow.
I had some friends who were super into fantasy, and my idea was, why don't we cover fantasy sports in real-time information the same way that the financial markets get covered? And that was just kind of the genesis for the whole thing.
And away we go. And it has obviously been very, very successful over there at RotoWire. A lot of people have their baseball drafts coming up. Some maybe have already done their baseball drafts to this point. I want to compare and contrast this a little bit to football, if you don't mind. In football, for so many years, and I feel like it's changed now. In football, for so many years, it was get your running backs early. Get your running backs early. That was kind of the focus. I feel like that's changed a little bit, but to a certain degree, it's kind of the same thing. When it comes to fantasy baseball, where does pitching rank? Is it like, all right, get the elite pitching early, and then you can wait on the rest of it till later because you always can pick up guys in free agency and so forth throughout the year? What is your advice on how to attack a draft?
So pitching's like high risk, high reward. I mean, a lot of injuries, a lot of variance. So sometimes if you want to, like, if you're in a big contest, you're going to win like $1 million. You might want to take the high variance route and, shoot for the moon. If you're in a league with like 10, 12 buddies and finishing in second or third place is, really good for you because you can talk some smack, then you maybe want to like go really heavy pitching. I mean, it's probably that's kind of the equation. That's kind of running backs are kind of high risk and high reward in football too, although they do get more touches. But pitching is, it's easy to spend your money on hitting and know what you're getting. And pitching is, obviously, and just as we know in real baseball, sometimes it's, all over the map.
Peter Schoenke, president of RotoWire. Follow him on X at Peter Schoenke. Let's talk about power. On the offensive side, my belief has been, since I've been playing fantasy, is power is king. When I'm drafting guys, I'm looking for those guys, obviously, that have power. Then I look at the stolen bases and so forth. When you're drafting, how important is power in your mind?
I mean, it's very important. It's also because it's really reliable. I mean, when you take Judge, when you take Soto, or, someone who's just maybe more of a power guy, who doesn't do a whole lot, that you can kind of bank those. And so that's where that's kind of like your blue chip stocks. You're going to get 20, 30, 40 home runs from those kinds of players. The players that can steal bases and give you a good batting average and give you power, obviously those are a premium. But if you're looking like, what do I invest in fantasy baseball? Kyle Schwarber is going to get you 40 home runs in a bad year, right? Even if he's hitting 200. And so that's a bankable commodity. And it runs out pretty quickly, and when you start getting towards the end of your draft, there's not a lot of players that can hit, 20 plus homers, without destroying your batting average to some degree. So, so definitely early on, that's what I mean. That's the real the usual strategy is like, go for the known power guys early, and then, then speculate on pitching later. That's usually my typical strategy, but I would say for fantasy baseball, way more than fantasy football, format really matters. Fantasy football tends to be kind of the same rules and stuff like that. Baseball, you really, really got to know your rules. If players qualify at certain positions for 10 games, if you need a minimum number of innings for pitching or you don't, those are big things that can really change your strategy, more so than a football league.
I am one of those guys that I do mock drafts like days and days ahead of time. I'm constantly doing mock drafts. In our league currently, I am livid and have been for the last couple of years that I don't get the line. I don't get our draft order until like the day of, like an hour before. Oh, here's the draft order. Congratulations. And it drives me absolutely nuts because you can't prepare for it necessarily. Where if I know the number, I can do a million mock drafts at that number with other people or whatever and figure it out. And the reason I do it is because I like to see, okay, what positions are still there in 8, 9, and 10 that are good value? Which positions are deeper versus others that are more shallow? Because the more shallow positions, I'd like to draft earlier and then, roll the dice that I can get a guy with some power at a deeper position later. If I were to ask you, where is your deeper position with power? And then where is that position that's probably a little bit more shallow that if you get a chance to get a stud early at that position, more worth it to take that position than another?
To me, it's really about third base this year. It gets really thin, really fast.
Yep. I've learned that.
I mean, Jose Ramirez goes in the top 5 or 6 of almost any draft. If you're doing a draft format, obviously he's expensive in an auction. I've been landing with Manny Machado a lot. He goes in the 3rd round, like a 15-team league. I've been purchasing him for, he's an expensive player. He's kind of boring, right? But he's just solid. He's not like going to be the 60 homer guy or stealing 50 bases, but he's just reliable every year. Power production. You're getting 4 categories. He stays healthy. You knock that off for third base. And then later in your draft, you're like, oh man, I'm so glad I have that position taken care of. Because it gets really thin. There's not a lot of depth at third base. There's a couple of wild cards in Murakami, a Japanese third baseman for Toronto, and then another Japanese third baseman in Chicago. Those guys are like, you might get superstars, you might get total, Okamoto in Toronto, in Murakami in the White Sox. You might get total duds, you might get all-stars, so you can take some chance, but sometimes you might be desperate. But yeah, lock up third base early. It's just kind of the one position to me that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Peter Schoenke, president of RotoWire. Follow him on X at Peter Schoenke, talking fantasy baseball with you. If you got any questions, feel free to text him in. Nick Law talking text line 414-677-1250. The catcher position is another one that I've been kind of going back and forth with on these mock drafts, right? And I did one last night, and Hunter Goodman fell to me pretty deep in this draft, and that's a big power hitting catcher. And obviously, being a Brewers fan, William Contreras is going to be one of the first catchers off the board right away. And especially doing a draft in this area, he's definitely going to be one of the first catchers off of the board. How deep have you found that position to be?
That position is not as bad as third base. I mean, a lot of it also depends on your rules, right? If you're in a 1-catcher league, then it's not that big a deal. If you're in a 2-catcher league and you're in like a 12-team league or 14-team league, those catchers, catcher number 28, 30, they tend to be pretty ugly. Goodman's obviously a great player, and he's in Coors Field. He might even play some DH and first base, and so he's going to find ways to get in the lineup. Contreras, I think he's one of my guys that I'm going after this year. I mean, I think a bounce back season, fully healthy. Every time he's healthy, he's great at catcher. Catcher in general, I don't like to spend too much money or high draft capital on because they do get injured, and so usually I'm kind of waiting late. There's just a lot of catchers that came onto the scene last year that are rookies that are intriguing. Samuel Basallo in Baltimore. For example, guys that are going to play, maybe a little more DH and things like that. So there's some rookies, towards the tail end, so that if you're just going to punt and that's the position, because most leagues, especially if you're in a deeper league, 12, 14, 15 teams, you're going to have one position that's going to be, a weakness. You can't avoid it. So you got to pick it. And generally, catcher's probably a good one to do because, like I said, they get hurt. And so when you spend a lot of capital on a high pick and they get injured, kind of like Contreras did last year or whatever, then you kind of pay the price.
I got a text that came in here from the 262. 7 keepers per team in my league. I need 2 of these 3. Now, again, they're all Brewers. So Jackson Churio, William Contreras, or The Miz.
Well, The Miz is the one you probably wouldn't keep. I mean, it all depends on pricing and that kind of stuff, right? If there's prices, but if just flat out you're going to keep the 3 of them, The Miz is not. The other 2 are blue chippers. Miz could be awesome, and he's really, to me, one of the pitchers. If you're looking at your drafts this year, the way it kind of works in round 7 through 10, if you're in a draft, like I'm in a 15-team draft, he's one of the pitchers that's kind of like the make or break. There's like Chase Burns, Cam Schlitter, Nolan McLean, Emmett Sheehan, Yuri Perez. These are all pitchers with like huge upside, 200 plus strikeouts if they just stay healthy and do it all. But none of them are like super proven, right? They've had like a half a season in the majors, look good in the playoffs, that kind of stuff. So, it takes a pretty good pick in one of these leagues to take them. And in some ways, if you gamble and it pays off, awesome. If you skip them, that's fine. But it's also hard to find players with that much upside later on. So it's really tempting, and you got to make a really big choice. He's one of those guys. So it's totally possible that at the end of the year he could be the best of those three guys. But if I'm telling you to keep it, keep the two blue chippers.
I've got one more question for you. Bryce Terang. What do you view his numbers to be? Where is he among your second basemen? Because I think here people think he can hit 25 home runs potentially next year and be a really, really good baseball player. I think he's shown that in the World Baseball Classic in the second half of last year when he hit 10 home runs in August for the Brewers.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, like, if we were in a league in California or Florida, you'd probably get your Brewers, right? But when you're here and everyone's a Brewers fan, we're all going to like him. So, yeah, I mean, he's obviously a great player. You're going to get, speed out of him, right? I mean, that's the real thing. It's tough to get stolen bases. We got him projected for 35 steals and 12 homers. So that's a good combination. And usually at a price that's pretty good. So yeah, we got him ranked number 61 overall. So yeah, he's definitely someone I'm keen on, but that's another thing. Know your league, right? When you're sitting in Wisconsin and you've got 12 other Brewers fans in your league, he's not going to come cheap.
No, he's not. So then you got to be smart, take your heart out of it, and draft with your head, which is a lot more difficult for Packer fans or Brewers fans in the state of Wisconsin for sure. Peter, I always let people on the way out promote. You're the president of RotoWire. I'd be stupid not to let you promote. So go ahead and promote away.
Okay, yeah. So it's RotoWire. It's fantasy baseball season. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have a draft coming up. What do I do? We got you set. Just go to rotowire.com, cheat sheets, projections, latest news. You're going to bring in a cheat sheet where there's nobody you're not going to get laughed at because you drafted some guy that was injured or retired or something like that. Again, that's our specialty. You can use Roto 15 at checkout, 15% off. We'll hook you up. But trust me, there's no better source for baseball when you get onto the draft.
Funny story on that. I was in a fantasy football draft years ago, and a guy drafted Fred Lane, who was dead. And everybody was looking at each other. I was like, you better not say a word. Do not say a word. And then, of course, some poor Sam was like, he died. Didn't you see he died? Oh, I want to pick somebody else. And, of course, the softies that in the league that I was in let him draft another player. If it would have been me, I would have been like, too bad. You took him. That's your deal for not doing your homework.
Well, in our leagues, that's kind of the exception. We're like, if he's a little bit hurt, he's got an injury, and the guy doesn't know, let it go. But something that extreme, you probably got to bail him out.
Probably got to bail him out. Peter Schoenke, president of RotoWire. Follow him on X at Peter Schoenke. I appreciate you so much for coming on, man. Maybe we can do this again sometime.
It was my honor. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. Take care. There he is, Peter Schoenke. Follow him on X at Peter Schoenke. That was cool. He was good, too. He was really good. I enjoyed that. We've never done fantasy baseball on this show, so that was a first.
We should do more.
Yeah, I'll be all for it. I just don't know from a listener perspective, like how many people are playing fantasy baseball that'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm in, Sparky. If you do fantasy baseball on, Fridays every week and previewing the next week and stuff like that, I would be in. I'd be in to ask questions. I mean, if there is a want, I'll gladly do it because I'm in a fantasy baseball league, so I'll have questions. But Badgers up on Illinois right now, 72-70. Now 72-71, 3.5 minutes to go. Badgers have chased double digits multiple times in this game and got the lead, Charlie.
They like to make it exciting. These guys are out here. It's John Blackwell again going crazy. It's been a really up and down roller coaster game for this team. Sometimes it feels like Illinois just kind of forgets they can dominate in the paint and then start trying to just take 3-point shots over and over again. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot more than the Badgers have dug their way back into this.
And free throws, 14 of 14 at the line this half for the Badgers. Illinois is 2 of 3. That's a big, big problem.
And they're getting inside.
That was a great pass inside again to Belauskas from Nick Boyd. So 74-72 now Wisconsin. Peja Stojakovic in the crowd there at the United Center.
That's fun. That's a cool NBA name.
Yeah. So, I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Isn't his kid on the team?
I think so.
Yeah, his kid's on the team.
But that's what makes it more fun. Sparky in the Nicolay Law Talk and text line, Ziggy says, does Sparky want to know what we are confident, concerned, and curious about? Let's do this for baseball. Let's go. You were bringing up the Fantasy Fridays for baseball. Ziggy wants the confident, concerned, curious too.
I don't mind doing that. I like doing confident, concerned, and curious. I do.
Maybe we could do that on I feel like Mondays would be better than maybe Fridays for baseball because then we can preview the whole week ahead. Talk
about what happened in the weekend. Right. What are you confident, concerned, and curious about the upcoming week? Yeah, I would be fine with that. Yeah. All right, Ziggy. All right, fine. Some notes here from the Green Bay Packers. I got a press release here. Due to the forecasted winter storm, the Lambeau Field atrium and all its businesses, including the Packers Pro Shop, 1919 Kitchen and Tap, the Packers Hall of Fame, and Lambeau Field Stadium tours will be closed on Sunday, March 15th. The atrium is expected to reopen for normal hours on Monday, but other conditions will continue to be monitored to determine whether any schedule changes are necessary. So there you go. So everything at Lambeau Field shut down on Sunday. So if you're planning to go out in the middle of this storm in Green Bay, good luck. You know, the crazy part about this is like Wausau is expected to get absolutely hit. Green Bay is going to get absolutely hit. But there's a chance out here in southeastern Wisconsin, we may get away with not getting hit nearly as bad as the rest of the state, potentially.
Doesn't seem like we got a little flurry earlier when I was driving in.
Yeah.
That's been the extent of it so far. Just a lot of wind. A lot of wind.
I heard the biggest thing could be a potential ice storm down here.
Fun.
That is not fun. And that's supposed to be followed up with then several inches of snow if it holds. So that's something I don't really want to deal with. And it's, you know, it's Sunday into Monday. Well, it starts Saturday night into Monday afternoon. So by the time we are on, we should be relatively good. Tommy Wirtz, who is filling in on the morning show on Inside Wisconsin Sports on Monday with Shaj Albrecht, I said, if I were you, I think I would probably just sleep there. I don't think I would try to drive in on Monday morning.
Knowing Tommy, that was probably his plan anyway.
I don't know if it was. I said, you do what you want. I'm just saying, like, I don't think I'd give that a shot if I were you. All right, take a quick time out, come back on the other side. Keep you updated on what's going on with Wisconsin and Illinois. Don Woczulis, College Sports Weekly, will join us as well. Let me tell you about my fine folks over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You could be there right now watching this game. 74-74, 2:28 to go, and having the time of your life. I'm sure there's a bunch of Illini fans down there, but guarantee you that. Bunch of Wisconsin fans down there, everybody rooting for something different. Plus, you have all these other conference tournament games all up on the big screen, 2,000 square feet, 30 different sporting events at one time they can show. Got some comfy seating, 2 levels of seating. Full menu at the Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, 48 different beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, homemade desserts and pastries, like everything you could potentially want to eat. They got it. They got you. And it's really, really good as well to go along with everything else. And always suggest reserving your seat ahead of time. Go search your food and beverage carts. Nominal fee. You're going to get that back anyhow because you're going to spend that money on food and beverage. So check them out today, Potawatomi.com. Again, that's Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Buddy. Boy just tried a three, missed it off the front of the rim. Blackwell the rebound, tried to put it back in, didn't get it. But got fouled, hit 2 free throws. Now we're tied with like 52 seconds to go at the United Center. Again, Don Woczulis is there for us, College Sports Weekly. Him and Dan Underberg do a great job with that. Saturday mornings, 9 to 11. They'll be back on tomorrow morning from 9 to 11. And he's at the United Center right now. So once this game is done, we'll talk to Don Woczulis from at the United Center. And it is going to be something here. This would be a huge win for Wisconsin, Charlie. And I'm listening to our fine friends on the Mason Crosby show, and I'm listening to Mitch Schnella say, well, if they lose, I'll be all right with it. And then Don Woczulis is like, well, if they come out of this healthy and they lose, I think I'd agree with you, Mitch. Man, what is going on with those
Loser
two?
mentality.
You get out of here.
Mentality.
I'm all right if they lose.
No,
Stop
you
all
want them
that.
to win this game.
Yes.
You want them to beat Illinois. You want them to win the Big Ten tournament. Even if they are injured, it'd still be nice.
Absolutely right. Need to have that happen. And it looks like we are going to overtime.
Yes, sir.
78-78. Blackwell took a deep three. They attempted to run nothing to get anywhere close to the basket. Instead, a deep three, and he missed. So off to overtime we go for that one. Right now in this Badgers game, as we sit headed to overtime, is quickly go over the box score for you. The Badgers are shooting 41% from the field in this thing. Illinois is shooting 53% from the field. 3-point shooting, 9 of 38 for the Badgers, 24%, 8 of 25 for 32%. How are the Badgers in this currently going to overtime? Free throws. 16 of 16, I believe, now in the second half for the Badgers. 19 of 20 overall in the game. Illinois, 8 of 12. Rebounds squared up at 30 apiece. So that is obviously a good thing. Steals in the game, 5 steals for the Badgers, only 1 for Illinois. Turnovers are relatively close as well. 6 for Wisconsin, 7 for Illinois. Assists, 16-14, Badgers advantage there. I think you feel pretty good considering you haven't shot the 3-ball well at all this entire game. You don't have Nolan Winter, and yet here you are with the number 9 team in the country, Illinois, in their backyard. I know it's not Champaign in Chicago, close enough. In their backyard, and you're going to overtime.
And this is awesome. This is exactly how you want this Badgers team to be playing, especially when you don't have Nolan Winter on the court.
Remember, the last time these two teams played, they went to overtime, and the Badgers won that one 92-90. So this another game where they're going to go to overtime here, 78 up. Scoring for the Badgers, man, this backcourt is something, man. Nick Boyd, 31 points, 10 of 17 from the field, 9 of 9 from the line. John Blackwell, who had, 32 was it yesterday? Yep. 29 today, 9 of 17 from the floor, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Very, very impressive. Rebounding, Velasquez stepped up. He's got 8 boards. Austin Rapp did nothing on the boards yesterday, and he's done nothing from the field, 1 of 7, but he has 6 boards in this game. And the guards, Blackwell and Boyd with 5 and 4. Everybody a team effort. And then Rhodey, I guess I would call him a third guard. 4 rebounds as well. Team rebounding.
They've all just been out there playing aggressive basketball. That's why they have 5 steals on that box score too. They're going out there playing with this energy that they needed to play with, knowing the type of team they were going up against, especially on the boards, especially defensively.
Keaton Wagler, who's going to be a lottery pick for Illinois, he's got 19 in this game. Then off the bench, Peja Stojakovic's kid, Andre Stojakovic, has 17, 6 of 12 from the floor. So those are the 2 leading scorers for the Illini, again, tied up at 78. How important do you think it is for Greg Gard, for the Badgers, to get out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament? Because there's a lot of chatter of, this is great. Every year they win the regular season, and every year they get bounced in the first weekend. He doesn't ever make a run like Bo Ryan made several times. How important is it?
It's pretty important to me. I think this Badgers team has shown this year specifically that they can go out there and beat anybody in basketball. They've also shown they can go out there and lose to anybody in basketball too. It's a very, again, just polarizing team like I mentioned yesterday with this squad. I think this is a chance for this Badgers team, for Greg Gard, to take what he's done so well during the regular season, which is just winning basketball games, and take that to the next level and show it on a national stage, because he's gotten a lot of credit this year for all of these power Big Ten wins, the top AP top 10 wins that he's had. you want to see that be praised nationally, not just in Wisconsin, not just in the Big Ten, but across college basketball.
I don't think there's any pressure. If we're being honest, yeah, you may be mad if they go out in the first round. I will be mad if they go out in the first round. Charlie will be mad if they go out in the first round. But I don't believe he is in any danger of losing his job.
No, no shot.
Do you want to know why? Luke Fickell. That's it. That's it. That's the reason he's in no danger of losing his gig anytime soon, because he essentially is Paul Christ. That's what he is, right? We go to the tournament every year, we get bounced out early, and it's over. That's what Paul Christ was doing on the football side. And Chris McIntosh said, that's not good enough. I want to compete for a national championship. And I agreed. And I was with Chris McIntosh, and I supported the decision. I was shocked by it, but I supported it. And then they go get Luke Fickell, and it's blown up in their face. He cannot afford to go do the same thing now to guard if he gets beat in the first round and then try to go find a coach and then have him go backwards the same way the football program has. He can't. Now, if in 3 years, Fickell has this thing playing at a playoff caliber every year at Wisconsin and has fixed it, then McIntosh can take another gamble on the basketball coach who can't get over the hump to go see if he can find a different guy to move it forward. But right now, he can't touch Greg Gard. No chance.
No shot. And Greg Gard, again, just has done way too much to be given that kind of discredit by the Wisconsin Badgers and by McIntosh in that situation. I think this is something where Greg Gard has done way too much at this point that, yes, it saves him from losing his job because of Luke Fickell or whatever. But at the same time, he's done way too much to say that you can't get past that hurdle and that you do want him to still get past that hurdle, even if his job isn't on the line. May not be any pressure, but there's probably personal pressure. I think as a fan, there's a little pressure from me to say, hey, I want you guys to take a run here.
I mean, Blackwell was mad last year how it ended. And when he came back, he said, this is going to be different this time, right? And Nick Boyd and what he's going to be able to do in this thing. Austin Rapp, by the way, I was clapping because he had a big three. So it's a 5-point lead for Wisconsin. The minute 45 to go. It's 85-80 Wisconsin over Illinois right now. A big shot. That was only Austin Rapp's second make of the basketball game, that shot there for the Badgers. And again, man, Illinois just inside is just so big compared to Wisconsin. That Merkovic kid, again, he had an and one at the beginning of overtime, and I'm pretty sure he just got another one. Goodness.
It wasn't an one. It's just going to be 2 free throws.
Oh, they actually missed the shot. Right. But he got fouled again at the rim. So there's not much you can do.
He got fouled again at the rim with 3 Badgers around him, though. They were all trying to get the rebound.
We're all smaller than him.
They're trying.
Yes.
They're trying.
They're jumping like you jump against your dad when you're a little kid. I'll get it. I just jump a little bit higher. I'll get it. Hey, they ain't getting it. I mean, you got it.
It's worked enough today to keep them in this game.
But again, Charlie, and I complain about this. I'm old man, right? Dude, why doesn't nobody box out, man? I don't understand, especially when you're in a game like this where they are clearly bigger than you inside. Dude, put a butt into somebody and back them out of there.
I get it. But when you watch the NBA, I think this was 2 weeks ago.
They're the worst example
if
of
you go to
out.
2 weeks ago,
Horrible.
Tari Eason of the Rockets was trying to box out Nikola Jokic. And Nikola Jokic just kind of ran over him and then called for a foul from the refs. He didn't get the foul call, but Tari Eason didn't get a foul call either from Jokic trying to jump over him. I just think it's something that the refs don't pay attention to do anymore, and the coaches don't either.
Absolutely ridiculous. Like the art of the box out would be so valuable to a college basketball team or pro team if they just invested time and effort into it. You would be amazed by how many more rebounds you'd be able to get, and you wouldn't all have to have a bunch of 7-footers to do it.
Maybe they've had success just crashing the boards better than boxing out.
Not today. I mean, they're relatively even in rebounding. I shouldn't say that. Again, Don Woczulis is there at the United Center covering the Badgers in Illinois. They're in overtime right now. Badgers with the lead. We'll tell you how this whole thing finishes up because I think it'll be done by the time we get out of this break. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen, and you. Coming up next, we're from Don Woczulis, and we'll get to our green and gold update.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, here we go. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparking with you, Charlie Usen producing. Badgers, Nick Boyd at the line. 88-83 Badgers in overtime. 27 seconds to go in this one. 27 seconds. Most points in a single game Big Ten tournament history. Boyd is at 36 right now. Blackwell is at 34. That is second and fourth all time in Big Ten tournament history as we sit here currently.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And I think they were saying for the Badgers, that's second, or Nick Boyd has the most points in this game. John Blackwell had the second most points in that last game, and John Tanji had the third most points last year, too, in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, it's just absolutely insanity right now. And on top of that, they threw up another nugget in this big, watching this game on the Big Ten Network that said, this is the first time since 1968 that the Badgers have had two players over 30 points in the same game. 1968. Cool. Man, that's even older than I am. I mean,
And
you
you're pretty old.
That's old.
You're pretty
And that
old.
was before me. That's really old. And they've had some good teams, man. I mean, that Final Four team and that national champion team, you didn't even have it on that run with Decker and Kaminsky and all those guys.
One of those guys, Hayes, in there somewhere getting points. I would assume one of them might have done that, but Kaminsky was just the show for those teams too at the same time. He was out there and it was everybody else doing their jobs around him.
You and I talked about this. If they get Nolan Winter back for the NCAA tournament, they're going to be tough. If these guards play as good as they're playing right now in this tournament, they play like this in the NCAA tournament, they are going to be a tough out for another team, because this Badgers team is shooting 24% from three.
And it's like these guys. That's it. Those are who's hitting the shots.
And Illinois is the number 9 team in the country, and the Badgers are going to beat them without Nolan Winter shooting 24% from three.
Mhm.
And we've said the whole season, like, if they don't shoot their threes, they're going to be in trouble. And they didn't shoot their threes today, and they're still going to win this basketball game.
I think the only question I still have is what happens if one of those guys doesn't have this type of game? We've only seen them be like this when both those guys are having phenomenal games. If Nick Boyd has a down day, if John Blackwell has a down day, who fills in? Is it going to be Braden Carrington every single time? Because we've seen him have his down days when he needed to fill in. What's going to happen?
Illinois hit a three. The Badgers then turned it over on the inbound, and now it's 90-86. And I believe it's going to be Illinois ball. Yep, Illinois ball, side in. 8 seconds left. Now a 4-point game, an easy basket. Now it's a 2-point game with 6.6 seconds left. And the Badgers are going to have to try to inbound the ball again in this one. Scheme, what is their deal with giving away possessions?
That scared me.
Goodness gracious. So they throw a pass full length of the court, like a quarterback to a receiver. Carrington ran it down and then got fouled. It wasn't a bad idea. Throw it over everybody, but you better hope it doesn't get out of bounds.
It just looked deep for a second.
It
Like he
did.
might have thrown it a little too far out of reach.
Right. And then Carrington ran it down just before he got out of bounds and then got fouled, and 2-point game. So Carrington just has to hit 2 free throws, and you feel pretty good about life. If he hits 1 free throw, he hasn't shot a free throw all night. He only got 2 points in the game.
Oh, Sparky. Turn your microphone off, man.
Just missed the first free throw.
That's awful.
I said if he hits 2 free throws.
And you talk about the announcer jinx all the time.
I said if he hits 2 free throws, it's over. Well, he didn't hit the first one. It's still a 2-point game. He's got to hit this one. But I mean, could you imagine the nerves right now?
Oh, I'm
Because
sure.
if you miss it, you're in deep trouble. Now, thankfully, he didn't miss it. He made it. So they're up 3. Illinois with a chance to tie this with 5.8 seconds to go. Badgers up 91-88.
If somehow this even goes to a second overtime, Sparky, I'm blaming you.
Why?
The Sparky jinx. The Sparky jinx.
Oh, come
Every time,
on.
man. Every time.
Why is it every time I say something positive about something and then it goes sideways, it comes back to me?
It's not my fault. It's I don't know if it's your fault. It might just be the aura that you have, you know.
Oh. That's nice. You know, Charlie and I were talking about this the other day. Was it yesterday off the air? About poor John Kuhn, who apparently is in Hawaii on his spring training trip with his kids and family and all of that. And apparently this Kona storm, which I've never heard of, this Kona storm hit. And there's like 30 plus inches of rain that's dropped this week on him. There is power outages. Roads are closed. Like all of this crazy stuff is happening. And I'm telling Charlie about this. And what did you say?
I said that probably happens on every vacation that Sparky goes on. That it would be just your luck that would happen when you were there. It would probably just be Sparky's curse. You know?
Absolutely insanity. Absolute insanity. The Badgers hold on to win. A 3-point shot by Wagler there at the end, I believe it was. That bounced way up off the rim, did not come down. Boyd waved bye-bye to everybody at the United Center after he got it. Semi-final appearance now in the Big Ten tournament. 3rd straight semi-final appearance for the Wisconsin Badgers going forward here. Now they get Michigan. Michigan is who they get. Michigan, who has been unbelievable this year. But remember, the Badgers have beat Michigan this year. That is a huge win on their resume right now of having beat Michigan. So now they get Michigan tomorrow, right, at the United Center, 11 a.m. tip in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament.
It's going to be a tough one, but also, like they beat Illinois earlier in the season, they've beaten Michigan earlier.
Beat Michigan, right? Absolutely right. All right, joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law from College Sports Weekly. He is Don Woczulis. Catch College Sports Weekly tomorrow morning, 9 to 11. I'm sure him and Dan Underberg will have a lot to talk about and dive into this. Don, your thoughts on what you just saw?
I'm trying to catch my breath here as they get that 91-88 win in overtime. You get halfway through that second half, and you had a team that was settling again from beyond the arc. And once they started to drive to the basket and play inside out, it changed the dynamic of what we saw here today. And they get, in my mind, a bit of an upset with regards to this win, because it was certainly a home crowd here for the Illini.
Well, of course it was. It was definitely a home crowd. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is they chased double figures early in the first half. They couldn't do anything. Then they chased double figures again in the second half. They closed it at the end of the first half. Then they chased in the second half. Then by, whatever the reason may be for Illinois, the Badgers actually took the lead there in the second half and had a chance to really put them away and then just couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't do it, but I love the way this team fought today, where they had the opportunity to really just decide to pack it in and say, all right, let's start getting ready for the NCAA tournament. I like the fact that they fought, they got back in the thing, end up winning it in overtime, and may have helped their cause once we get to Sunday and the selection committee now has to sit down and figure out where to put them.
Well, let them beat Michigan tomorrow. Then they'll really have an issue with where to put them. Blackwell, 31 points. Nick Boyd, 35 points. That's the first time since 1968 that the Badgers have had multiple players over 30 points in a game, Don.
Yeah, the backcourt for this Badger team has been nothing shy of phenomenal here in these first 2 days of the Big Ten tournament, and we saw some better play in the paint today. The rebounding difference actually today went in favor of the Badgers by 37-36. So whatever Greg Gard decided to drive home yesterday in that film session, it worked.
Belauskas and Rapp both with 9 rebounds and 4 assists for both of them. Neither one shot all that well, but Rapp there had a big 3 in overtime, Don.
Yeah, it was kind of catch your breath kind of a deal, but he hit it when it needed to be hit. That's for sure. And you got to love the way this team now has been battle tested. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but I like what I'm seeing heading into March Madness.
I'm looking at the Big Ten Network right now. That's a noon tip tomorrow. Michigan and Wisconsin. So looking forward to that one. And tomorrow, 9 to 11, College Sports Weekly, you and Dan Underberg. What's on the docket?
Oh, we'll definitely be talking about this one, as well as Cam Fuller, the athletic director up at St. Norbert, is joining us. He's the committee chair for the NCAA Division III men's national tournament. So we'll get an idea of what it's like to put one of these things together, at least from the D3 perspective.
Love it. Don Woczulis, Dan Underberg tomorrow with College Sports Weekly, 9 to 11 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Thank you so much, Don. Have a safe trip home.
All right. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Don Woczulis, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Badgers win in overtime, 91-88 over the number 9 ranked Illini. Pretty cool thing down there at the United Center.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
Badgers do their thing. Very, very impressive. Now we got to do our thing. It is the 4 o'clock segment after all. Green and gold update, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll get you some more Badger reaction before the show is over. Charlie is rolling on what's going on right now, so definitely stay tuned for that. So green and gold update time, and we're going to bring up what was brought up in the first hour, which is Emmanuel Wilson gets $2.1 million from the Seattle Seahawks. The question that I have, and Charlie and I disagree on, would you have done that deal if you were the Packers? Tom Silverstein, I believe it was yesterday, came out earlier in the day and said he's not coming back to Green Bay, and he's probably going to have a deal soon. So obviously Tom had wind that he was going to the Seahawks. Emmanuel Wilson on social media was celebrating like a little kid that he got to play for his hometown team, Seattle, the team he grew up rooting for. So very, very happy for Emmanuel Wilson that he gets to play for the Seahawks. However, I would have done that deal at 2. I would have done that deal at 3. I may have considered it at 3.5 for Emmanuel Wilson to solidify that backup running back position, even if it's just a 1-year deal, which is what he ended up signing with Seattle. What about you? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, live streaming on X at WI Sports Radio and on YouTube as well. Charlie, I know we're going to disagree.
But I just don't understand why. Like, you can get better than that. You can get something that is also worth $2.1 million in free agency in the draft. Like that, he is so inconsequential in my mind to what this Packers team is trying to do. I think you just need a backup running back who's solid enough. And yes, he is that. Yeah, you can go and keep that, but it can also be anybody. Like it could be somebody that I think is worth $2 million, not 2.1, and it'll do what Emmanuel Wilson will do. Like, it's the same deal. I just feel like as this Packers team evolves and becomes this new squad and has this new identity, we shouldn't get attached to some of these players just because they have been a part of the progression of this team as they start to flourish in who they are. I think Emmanuel Wilson is one of those players where be excited that he's going to go play for his hometown team. Like, we shouldn't be upset that we're missing out on an Emmanuel Wilson. That's where I am coming from this. And there's other guys that can fill that role.
Okay. So you say there are other guys. So do you think they're going to sign somebody?
Maybe. They have to, kind of. They don't have enough players in that room.
They can just go draft another guy. Right now,
that works. Yeah, that's worth.
Right now, they've got
Wilson, yeah.
Chris Brooks. They've got the player we don't talk about, and they've got Josh Jacobs at this point. So right now, you've got 3 backs in the running back room. Now, if Chris Brooks is going to be 3, that means the guy we don't talk about because he can't play back-to-back games. Right now, potentially has a shot to be the second running back at the end of the day. John in Milwaukee says, Sparky, Emmanuel Wilson is better than Marshawn Lloyd. Wilson is always available to play. Lloyd has been not. Time to move on, Goody. Okay, I read that because that was the name in the text. I don't say his name. But he's too talented to give up on right now. He just is. You're going to bring him back again, and you're going to try this again and see what happens. The rub is going to be if they go get a running back early in this draft. Like if second and third round comes and they take a running back there, then I think Packer fans are going to be livid. I think there is going to be some Packer fans that are going to be hot. Like, you're paying Josh Jacobs a good amount of money. You just wasted a decent pick on the player we don't talk about. You brought back Chris Brooks. You let Emmanuel Wilson go, who was doing more than fine with Josh Jacobs. I remember multiple times with Tommy Wirtz on the Green Bay football postgame show that him and I did, talking about, my God, just give him more balls than Josh Jacobs. He's better than Josh Jacobs at running the ball at this point. And that was happening constantly throughout the course of last season. So from, I think, a fan perspective, if they were to go draft a running back early versus spending $2 million on a potential running back in free agency right now, even if that is an older running back, I think would rub people the wrong way. So, for instance, Nick Chubb, I believe, is still out there, right? Is Nick Chubb better than Emmanuel Wilson at this point after all of Chubb's injuries and everything else? I don't know. I have no idea. But if you can get him for $2 million, sure. Yeah, okay. I'm in at $2 million for Nick Chubb if that's what you want to do. And hope and pray to God that he actually stays healthy.
Yeah, if you can do that, again, I said Austin Eckler yesterday, if you can get him for $2 million, why not? You can find players that can replace what you're losing in Emmanuel Wilson. I know people, again, got attached to him. I thought he should have been the kick returner at the second half of the season last year. I don't know why he wasn't. I thought maybe that could be a way to give him more value on this team. But just in his current role as just a backup running back, you can find other people to do that for equivalent to less that do what Emmanuel Wilson does.
Hey, Charlie Houston, C. Sparky Pfeiffer over here. That was your Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, still to come, Plead the Fifth that's coming up next is brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. And when you get in that time of need where you're potentially hurt in a car accident, you're going to panic a little bit. I've been there in a pretty brutal one. You're going to be calling people trying to figure out what they would do in that situation. You're going to be, if you're short on money, trying to figure out how you're going to be able to go forward if your car is totaled and how you're going to make ends meet. Like, you're going to have so many different questions. Plus, you're going to have hospital or doctor bills and everything that goes along with it. That's a scary time. So go to the people that have been doing it for a long time, since 1930. National reputation, hometown service, 13 locations across the state of Wisconsin. The reason why this is such a big deal is simple. As I was put in a situation, and hopefully you'll never be put in the situation, but if you are, you want to go somewhere where you can trust the person that's working with you and trust that they're giving it their all to get you what you deserve at the end of the day. That's what you want. You don't want some Johnny-come-lately, fly-by-night person that's trying to take whatever he can get from you, or she, and you're getting half the effort because, wow, I'm not going to get as much money for you as I, in this case, over here. So more of my effort's going to go over here, and I'll do what I can on the side over here. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to work with the pros, those people that have been doing it forever, and they win. They're known for winning. That's how you get a national reputation. Go to Habish.com. Again, Habish.com for more information. Habish, and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. Learn more about them at Habish.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. Badgers get the win, 91-88 in this one. And even though this guy didn't have a great game, he had a big shot there in overtime.
Each team with 2 timeouts in overtime.
You know who's liking this overtime besides me and you?
Michigan.
Rat
for 3.
He was 1 for 6 to start the game. Time to panic for Illinois. You're down 5.
That was a big, big shot. Jeff Levering recognized the voice there on the Big Ten Network. A big shot by Austin Rapp. Story of that Badger game, though, again, Blackwell and Nick Boyd. Blackwell, 31 points, 9 of 17 shooting. Nick Boyd, 38 points, 12 of 20 shooting. And I believe, if memory serves correct off the TV, that puts Nick Boyd, I should say, second most in a game in Big Ten tournament history. And Blackwell, I believe, is 4th or 5th, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, just, again, absolutely insane. What a performance from these two guys. Not just this game, but the entire season. This team has been predicated on those two guys being able to score that efficiently every single night. Hats off to them. Before we get to Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish and Rotier, I want to give you an update on Rasheed Walker. 1-year deal with the Carolina Panthers, up to $10 million, including incentives. That's nothing. That's not the number they were saying before. Only up to $10 million.
With incentives.
That doesn't mean that it's $10 million.
It's probably like 7 or 6.
That's crazy.
With incentives can get up to $10 million.
Again, I think people were overhyping him. Maybe his agents were just telling some crazy stuff out there. It did not work, whatever they were saying.
No, it did not work. Yeah. So everybody that was on the Rasheed Walker's the guy, he's going to get a bag of money. You may want to pay attention to this next segment.
It's a Plead the Fifth Friday, sponsored by Habish and Rotier. Who should have just kept their mouths shut? Who made a bad decision commenting on a topic they shouldn't have? Let's hear who you think should plead the fifth this week on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, here we go. Plead the fifth. This is real simple. You can nominate somebody, just a shh, be quiet, right? Most single game points in Big Ten tournament history, by the way. Boyd 38, Blackwell 34 in Badgers history. That was yesterday. And Blackwell is 4th behind Tanjay's last year, who had 32. Then Blackwell had 31. AJ Storr 2024 with 30. And then Rob Wilson. Who remembers Rob Wilson? No. I was in 2012 with 30 points. Time now, again, to tell somebody to hush. Could be a family member, could be a friend, could be one of the hosts on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Can be anybody that you want it to be. Just give us an example of why exactly you want them to hush it up and plead the fifth. Again, brought to you by Habish and Rotier. Dial it up, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Still to come, we will follow the money with Austin Herdina, the Potawatomi Sportsbook, coming up in the next segment. All right, Charlie Usen, where to first? Hold on.
So first up, we're going to head on over to WFAN in New York, where Tiki Barber, former NFL running back, and Evan Roberts were discussing the Bam Adebayo 83-point game. And Tiki Barber had an interesting plan for stopping teams from tanking.
I mean, he basically say it. They're not trying to win.
They're not trying to win. No, that's true.
That is damning.
Yeah. Well, I have
Can you imagine in a regular season of any sport where a coach says, an opposing coach says, yeah, we beat their ass into the pulp because they're not trying to win.
No, you're right.
That's basically what he said. That's the bigger issue. Forget the Bam Adebayo scored 83 points and he should have come out at 81. He respects Kobe, all that other nonsense. The issue with teams tanking, losing intentionally with 17 games to go. That's pitiful.
Yeah.
This is why you don't watch regular season basketball, or if you're a lay fan, you don't give a crap.
Did you see what happened last night? I have to admit it. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Did you see about the Nets-Hawks game?
Yeah. I know they're the Nets. And
yes. The Nets tanked.
Yes.
One of the first times I've ever noticed this, besides like sitting guys, which is different because you can always get around sitting guys for health reasons or recovery reasons. But when guys don't play in games, that's where the issues kind of run in. And so last night, Noah Clowney and Nick Claxton Both sat the fourth quarter.
Give your paycheck back.
Who?
Whoever's responsible.
Can I defend them for a second?
Go ahead.
If everybody else is doing it, and they are, and you know it, what are we supposed to do?
Bingo.
What the hell? They put us in this spot, bro.
So my point is this. Did you work today to earn your paycheck? Did you work today to earn your paycheck?
Yes.
If the answer is no, give it back.
Tiki, what do you want the franchise to do when these other franchises are even bigger farces? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? Just say we'll be ethical? We'll just be ethical.
Yeah.
And we'll hope.
Because it's a lottery. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter till it does matter.
Okay. And the Dallas Mavericks won the freaking lottery last year.
See, I don't want to paint with a broad brush and characterize him. He's a football player. Listen, man, this stuff doesn't happen in the National Football League to the same extent, right? It happens from the extent of, okay, we've clinched, there's a bye week, and we don't want to get anybody hurt, so we're going to sit guys. Like Shanahan and the Broncos made that famous. Just sit guys. We're not going to play them. I'm not going to get them hurt. And then other teams started doing the same thing. And then what happened? Then there were some stats being generated of these teams that are doing that are losing in the playoffs because now they're sitting for 2 weeks and there's rust and whatever. And then now there's a debate of whether you should do it or shouldn't do it, whether it's right or whether it's wrong and how long you should play guys. But even the guys that do play now in that last week when they have it wrapped up may only play a half and then not play the second half. They just want to get out of it healthy, get a little work in, and they're out. And those decisions are made by coaches and GMs and owners and all of that fun stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's about the big picture. It's not about the in the moment. And regardless of what Tiki says, you can say, well, it's a lottery. Who gives a crap? Well, everybody does in this draft. Next year, I don't know what next year's draft looks like, but if it's not as deep as this year's draft, and I'm guessing it won't be, you won't see all of this tanking next year. The only reason there's tanking this year to this level is because you have 3 studs, well, more than that, like 5 studs and a whole bunch of super talented kids in this lottery like you've not seen in a long, long, long time. And if you are a market that is not going to be able to attract a superstar free agent to your market ever, then this is your best chance of getting one by drafting one and then continuing to sign him to max deals and hope that he doesn't leave to go play somewhere else for less money. That's what you're hoping to get accomplished here. That's why I wanted Milwaukee to tank. That's why I would have preferred Milwaukee trade the whole roster to make sure they couldn't win. Then you wouldn't have to argue about sitting guys because there's going to be nothing left. That is what Sam Hinkie did in Philadelphia back in the day when he was running the Sixers. The process, no, it didn't net him a championship. Got him Embiid. They weren't able to finish around that. Why? Because they got rid of Hinkie. And then they haven't been able to find anybody since then. This, to me, is something that if you are a market like Milwaukee or Utah or whatever, and you know nobody's coming to play for you of their own good free will as a free agent, you have to do this. The worst thing you can do is do what Milwaukee is doing. Half in, half out, and now they're completely screwed because they were trying to appease their superstar player who, again, if you've been watching the last couple of games, is he going all out? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. But that, to me, is a big, big problem.
Well, and I think the other thing outside of just that this draft class is loaded is that the NBA currently has bigger fish to fry. And these teams, these owners, these coaches know that. They know that they are working on a lot of these other legal issues that are going on within the league that Adam Silver has almost his full attention to. Right. And that the only amount of energy that the NBA and Adam Silver could give to the situation is by giving out that warning a couple months ago. And they knew that that was just a bluff, that he wouldn't do anything immediately about this, that this would be an end of season thing, if anything, and that they can get away with it now. Like, it's, again, crazy to me that this league is so willing to just put all their energy into one thing and ignore all the other problems that happen with it, and then just pretend like those problems aren't happening and say, oh yeah, we're going to talk about expansion too now, though. Like, what are you doing?
Yep. I think that's a fair question. What are you doing? Well, right now he's trying to save his butt in the Steve Ballmer Clippers case. That's what he's doing right now.
And then after that, he has to deal with the betting scandal and all this other stuff that's still happening.
There's a lot going on. Chauncey Billups and all those guys, what they got going on. All right, Charlie, you got anything else for
Yep.
plead the fifth?
I got at least one more.
All right.
I got two more if we want. This is Mark Dondero out in Boston, 98.5, the Sports Hub there. He was saying he would rather trade their star cornerback, Christian Gonzalez of the New England Patriots, now than pay him.
So it's really that you wouldn't pay the position.
I don't want to pay top of market value at cornerback. No.
Okay. All right. But then that's what the issue is.
Yeah. If he was a
got
defensive
nothing
tackle
to-
in the middle that could get to the passer and stop the run, I pay that position.
If he were a left tackle, a left offensive
left tackle, I pay that position. If he were Brian Urlacher in his prime, I pay that position. If he's a running back, I'm not going to pay that.
Okay.
If he's an outside linebacker, a pass rushing defensive end, I'm not going to pay that.
Okay, but that's different than saying
Wow,
that
you're
one
paying
player
inside linebackers, not outside linebackers?
I'm paying sideline to sideline linebackers. I'm paying Chris Jones defensive tackle guys. I'm paying obviously a quarterback or an elite pass catcher. That's who I'm paying.
Okay.
So looking at Spotrac here, or Spotrac is how you actually pronounce it. If you're looking at this deal right now, average yearly salary, Trent McDuffie, $31 million, $30 million for Ahmad Gardner, $30 million for Derek Stingley, $25 million for J.C. Horn, $24 million for Patrick Surtain III, Deron Bland, $22.5 million. Those are your top cornerbacks.
Other teams beat them to resetting the market. This is why I keep saying the Brewers should sign William Contreras. Reset the market before all these other teams go and do that for you. Get your star players as early as possible. A lot of those players that you named are all young stars that are on still
25, 23, 23, 25, 24, 26.
You should have given Christian Gonzalez that contract immediately after he had that first good season, which was his second season in the league, and just say, no, we're not going to wait for you to get through the third season, because that's what all these other teams did.
That's exactly correct. Yes. And that's, again, that's something that, for me at least, I'll pay a corner. I'm in. I'll pay a star corner, but I have to have a star pass rusher to go along with that. So if you're going to say, okay, what do you want to pay? You got three positions to pay on defense where you can go top dollar. It's easy. Pass rusher, corner, another pass rusher if it's up to me. And I'll figure out the linebackers and the safeties later and not have to hopefully pay a ton of money there. He says he wants sideline to sideline ball chasing linebackers. That's fine. That's good. Edrin Cooper's that guy. Like, I get down with that if you want to pay him instead of a second pass rusher. But for me, as we've talked about, you have two stud pass rushers like they claim they were planning on doing in Baltimore. Then it doesn't matter what the cornerback position is if you have Crosby and Hendrickson both chasing after the quarterback. And that goes back to saying, why not trade for Josh Sweat, who had 12 sacks last year? Because if you got Sweat and Micah Parsons, I don't care that Valentine or St. Juice is out there at cornerback with Keyshawn Nixon, because a quarterback ain't going to have that much time to throw the football. So it doesn't matter as much. Ram, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Ram?
Hey, Sparky. Going back to your last thing about the whole NBA thing, to me it seemed like Adam Silver, and I'm just speaking from basketball. You guys do football and baseball very well. It seemed like you should always have a commissioner or a GM that actually played the sport. I'm not with these academics who come from the finance schools and it's a number guy and talking about people want to put butts in the seat. That's not sports. And I think analytics only mix with players when they have the IQ to make the analytics real, because you have a big game against a scrubby team, that's not saying nothing. But if you have a big game against a contender and you move on to playoff, that's saying something. And the other thing is, with all these other things that's going on with the NBA trying to put these fires out, maybe do need two more teams. Maybe they need to have more spacing in between games. I think that may reduce the injuries, because I don't understand why they had to play all these back-to-backs. And I don't know. It's just crazy. Like his manager style, because we wouldn't have this under David Stern. And the last thing, this draft class this year is don't even touch 1984, because I'm big on college players playing 2 to 3 years. And when you look at that team, the majority of those players on the Dream Team, from the '84 team, they all played 2 to 3 years. So you can't tell me like none of these guys are better than Jordan. He could have came out right after, but he didn't. He had the hardship rule. So it might be some good players there, Sparky, but the one thing I will say is this: none of those players, you got to wait 3 years for something to happen, because they're not going to impact no team to go to the playoffs with the teams that they're going to, and everybody knows that.
Fair enough. Thanks for the call, Ram. I appreciate it. Let's get to Follow the Money with our guy, Austin Herdenia from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Looking forward to talking to him coming up here in just a few minutes. But before we do that, I feel like we should do something that we have not done in a while, and that is I feel like I should go to my phone and I should call up an app. I feel like we should make a lineup. Do you feel like we should making a lineup going into the weekend?
And you're going to do a power play, right?
Well, I'm trying. No.
Darn it. I thought I could get you. You almost said yes because you weren't listening closely.
So I'm on, look at this. I can't even make this up. I'm on the Prize Picks app right now. They have the Magic City max discount.
Oh, perfect.
Right now.
Somebody needed to honor them. Atlanta
The
wasn't doing
Magic
it anymore.
City max discount is Jalen Johnson of Atlanta, more than a half of point on the game coming up on March 16th.
Let's do it.
So I'm in, right?
All right, let's do it.
We're doing that one. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, I'm down.
Oh, I got to restart the phone. Oh, man. It's going to have to wait. We'll get to it before the end. But that is the cool thing about, again, having Prize Picks on your phone right now is the fact that they always have some cool deals going on that you could take advantage of. And like that's a fun one, right? A Magic City max discount, right?
I love it. That's awesome. Again, Atlanta didn't do them justice. So now Prize Picks.
So everybody's going to go, you know what? You don't want to do a promotion around them? We'll do a promotion around them for you here at the end of the day. Prize Picks, it's daily fantasy. That's all it is. 2 or more stat projections. You go more or less, and you are on your way. And they got the injury reboot as well. So if a player gets hurt early in the game, say the first half, doesn't play the second half, they got you. Your lineup continues. If you then have less than 2 players, they refund you. How easy is that? You can have the power play, which pays out the most. You can have the flex play, which doesn't pay out the most, but you can get one wrong and still be good at the end of the day. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right, and it absolutely is good to be right, and that is why, and that is the main reason why I like to simply go with the flex play, because I like winning. And if I don't go with the flex play, history says I don't. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. We'll get to that lineup before this whole thing is said and done. We're going to play that Magic City promo for sure. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Here we go. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. C. Sparky Fifer with you. Wrapping up a Friday, wrapping up the week. For those of you listening on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, no Wisconsin Sports wrap-up coming up next. That is because in Milwaukee, we are relegated or contracted, whatever you want to call it, to carry college basketball tonight. So no Wisconsin Sports wrap-up with Tommy Wirtz. He gets tonight off coming up at 5 o'clock. Just a heads up to all of you there, expecting to hear that coming up at 5 o'clock. With that being said, those of you that have been waiting for this dude, he's here.
It's time to follow the money with Austin Herdina, the sportsbook manager of the Potawatomi Sportsbook on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
There he is, the smiley one, Austin Herdina, Potawatomi Sportsbook manager. Follow the money every Friday at this time. All right. Let's talk about it. Do you want to go in reverse order? Third most bet game coming into the weekend, then 2, then 1, or do you want to start with 1? Your call. I'll let you pick.
Tell you what, it's a great day of college basketball. We'll start with number 3. Arizona. Right. Arizona against Iowa State tonight. Big 12 semifinal. These teams just played 11 days ago. Arizona won that game by 16. Tonight, it's just a 4-point spread. Arizona's looking like every bit of the national title contender that, people will believe they are. So I like Arizona -4, and most people are doing that as well.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I don't, because TJ Otzelberger, Thomas More graduate here in southeastern Wisconsin native. I'm not going against my boy TJ. So I'm against you. I'm against all of you that bet on Arizona. All right, what else you got? What's the next one?
We got Nebraska +4.5 against Purdue in a Big Ten tournament game. This is a weird one where Purdue is a 7 seed, and yet they're they're favored by 4.5 against Nebraska, the 2 seed. Before the season started, Purdue was the number 1 team in the country. I don't know if people remember that from the beginning of the season. They have obviously not played to that this season, but it's tournament time. You never know. Purdue's always hot and cold. I mean, obviously they're the first 1 seed to ever lose, the second 1 seed to ever lose to a 16 seed before. So. You never know, but Purdue -4.5. Most people are taking Nebraska +4.5.
Tim Floyd, old Iowa State head coach, where TJ Otzelberger got his start under Tim Floyd back in the day. Look at me work that together. So I'll take Nebraska with that connection. Where are we going next?
The last one tonight is Kansas and Houston. Houston's favored by 4.5 against Kansas. 2 teams that are pretty interesting. I mean, Kansas has Darren Peterson, who's looking like he's going to be one of the top picks in the draft. Houston is a team that plays really good defense, really good team basketball. They're pretty fun to watch. Kelvin Sampson's done a really good job there. So, yeah, I like Houston -4.5.
Let's see. So you're wrong again. I got to go Kansas because you have Darren Peterson, whose brother Daryl Peterson played for the Badgers, and the football coach is Lance Leipold, who coached at Whitewater. All these Wisconsin connections. All Houston has is Kelvin Sampson, who was an assistant coach for the Bucks. That's all they got. So I'm going to go Kansas.
I did not know those connections. Thank you for educating me on that. I heard you gave Tommy the night off tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, I gave Tommy the night off. Got some college basketball locally in Milwaukee tonight. So, yeah, he's got the night off to go spend with his girl. So, he's excited.
I guess he can have a day off once in a while.
Once in a while. Don't make a habit of it. Austin, thank you so much for coming on. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, let's get to it. Badgers, they get the overtime win today over Illinois. Boyd and Blackwell, that is your story. Nick Boyd, 38 points. John Blackwell, 31 points. It's now the Badgers and Michigan coming up tomorrow. Noon tip for that one. Where did you say that game was at? CBS?
CBS.
That game is on CBS tomorrow. Here's Greg Gard talking after the game on the Big Ten Network.
You guys battle back from 15 down.
Well, this group behind me has a ton of heart.
I mean, how they have grown, how their toughness has grown, how their togetherness has grown. I mean, that's why you get into coaching. 35 years ago for me, to watch young men grow together, and it was phenomenal. We screwed up the press breaker. We got all discombobulated when we turned it over there. That's why we have a plan. We have to follow the plan. We didn't follow the plan there, and we almost paid for it. But this group's got a ton of heart.
It's a team win, as all wins are, but you have two players go over 30 points in the same game for the first time in Wisconsin history in nearly 6 decades. Your thoughts on the performances by John Blackwell and Nick Boyd?
Two of the best guards in the country, and they've grown together during this time from the fall on. They play off one another really well. Their teammates do a really good job of making things easier for them. And they're two competitors in their own right. They hate losing more than they like winning. So it's good to have. March is for guard play, and I'm glad I've got two really good ones.
And those two and the rest of this team takes on the number 1 seed, Michigan. You're the only team to hand them a loss in conference play this season. What are your first thoughts on the rematch with the Wolverines?
Can I get a little rest first? I mean, they're terrific. They're really good. It'll be two really good teams playing against each other. We'll rest up and prepare tonight and get ready for tomorrow.
Congratulations, Greg. Terrific. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thanks, Rick.
I don't know what is being said right now on TV. That was after the game on Big Ten Network. Greg Gard talking after the Badgers win 91-88 in overtime. I don't know what's being said by Brian Underwood, but I'm imagining he's crying about the no call or the call that happened at the end of the game. Blackwell went up for a shot. He was challenged. The player never touched him. Didn't touch him on underneath the waist when they were going up. Didn't touch him on the arm. Never touched him. They blew the whistle. And that was a pretty big play. And again, he's been complaining all year that they've been getting screwed by referees. Underwood has. We've played some of the sound on this show, and they got screwed again. What are you going to do? I'm happy as a Badgers fan. That'll do it for today's show. Thanks for listening all week. Really do appreciate it. If you missed anything on any of our shows, go to wisportsradio.com, or if you download your favorite podcast. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Have a good weekend, Wisconsin. Toodles.